All right, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to get started in just a second. I'm just going to wait for everybody to show up. For those of you here early, I appreciate you being here early. Hang five, we're about to get started. The minute I see a whole bunch of you showing up, if any of you could just type yes into the chat box. If you can see me and you can hear me, type yes, and then I'll know and we'll get going right away. So when I see the first yes come in, we'll start the webinar. If you can see me or you could hear me, please type yes down there into the chat box. And then I know you can see me and you can hear me. Yes, says Marshall, you are a gem. Let's get this show on the road. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. Today, we're going to discover the 3 secrets to surviving quarantine together without killing each other. So grab yourselves a pen and a paper. Make sure you turn off anything electronic that might go ding or beep or distract you. And get ready to take a ton of notes because we're going to learn a lot today, a lot of useful stuff. So firstly, I just want to say how cool it is to have people from all over the world here. And if you can see that chat box down there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, I would love it if you just type in where you're watching this webinar from today. So just type in which country you're in, where you're watching the webinar from. That would be awesome. And I also want to take a second to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. I know you could be watching Netflix right now. In fact, probably the entire world is watching Netflix in quarantine right now. So each one of you has taken time away from Netflix to be here and to learn how to improve your relationship or your marriage. And in my books, that's pretty extraordinary because most people don't. And they don't invest the time in learning how to have a stronger marriage, a stronger relationship, how to learn the communication skills to improve their relationship. And that's why we still have a 50% divorce rate. So you guys are extraordinary from being here. If you're watching with your partner, turn to your partner right now and tell them that they're extraordinary. If you're watching this alone, pat yourself on the back and go, yeah, I'm extraordinary. All right, let's see where we've got some people from. We've got Kathy from Jamaica, Doris from British Columbia and Canada, Heidi from Maui, Rachel from Ohama, Marshall from the United States, Sue from Canada, M from the UK, Nicole from the USA, Chris from the USA, Lindsay from Canada, Greg, Sandy, Sue, Ron, a whole bunch of you, Tanya, too many to read out. Thank you guys for showing up. I really, really appreciate it. So we're going to be together for the next 90 minutes, and it's going to go fast, and it's going to be jam-packed with aha moments and practical tools that you guys can start using straight away to start making your quarantine a whole lot less stressful and a whole lot more fun. And then I'm going to stick around for 30 minutes at the end, and I'm going to answer any questions you might have of me. And we're going to learn about the 3 secrets to a happy quarantine. You're going to learn how to make sure that you get your needs met and keep your family operating as a team. You'll learn why you both might react differently to quarantine and how to get back on the same page about it together. And I'm going to show you how to handle conflict without blowout fights. And then you're going to learn a ton more relationship tools that nobody ever taught you at school. But if all you learned from this webinar was, how to work together as a team during quarantine, would that make investing the next 90 minutes together with me worth it? Type in the chat box if that would be worth it. Just type worth it if all you got out of this was how to function as a team together, whether it's with your partner or with your family. Great, because you're going to get that and a whole lot more. And then make sure you stick around all the way to the end because I'm going to answer all your questions live. And if you have any questions you'd like me to answer at the end of the webinar, just click on the chat mode above the chat box and select Q&A before you type in your question. That way I can separate the questions from the rest of the chat, okay? So if you don't select Q&A, I won't know that it's a question and I won't answer at the back. So make sure you do that before you type in any questions. And there's another special reason to stay to the end. I've put together a truly special quarantine package for you. I kind of thought long and hard about whether or not I should even make you an offer because this webinar is intended purely as a public service for free. And then I realized I wouldn't really be serving you if I didn't offer you a way to use your quarantine time together to strengthen your marriage or relationship. So get excited because it's going to be something super extra special. Okay. So a friend of mine just emailed me this article about how divorce rates have skyrocketed in China after the coronavirus lockdown. And if you've been reading my emails for a while, then you also know that January is known as divorce month because more divorces are filed in January than any month of the year. So what do divorce month in January and the divorce rate in China have in common? Well, they both follow an extended period of time living in very close quarters with your family. And if you don't know how to talk about your issues without conflict, you're going to drive each other crazy. And I expect the marriage death toll after this quarantine to probably even be greater than the January one. Why? Because Christmas holidays are only for a couple of months. This quarantine might last for, Christmas holidays are only for a couple of weeks. This quarantine might last for months. Living in close quarters, unlikely to be able to leave the house. Now imagine the stress that 2 months of staying indoors with your family is going to put on your marriage and your family. After a couple of days, you'll probably be bickering. After a couple of weeks, you might be sleeping on opposite sides of the bed. After a couple of months, well, for some of you, the first trip you'll make once you get out of quarantine and once this quarantine ends is to the divorce lawyer's office. And I don't want that for you. Someone emailed me this meme the other day, which I thought was quite fitting. It's a picture of an old lady, Gertrude, who's sitting knitting a noose for her husband, okay? So if you're struggling with conflict or communication or connection during quarantine, you're normal, you're not alone, and your relationship struggles aren't really your fault. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to show you why that is. But before we dive in, and in case we've ever met, I'm just going to take a second and introduce myself. So I'm Bruce Music. I'm a husband. I'm a stepdad of 2 amazing young adults, Brandon and Anna, and the 4 of us are all in quarantine together, and we have been in self-isolation for about 3 weeks already. I'm also a certified marriage and relationship repair coach, and each year I help thousands of people strengthen their marriages and be happy together, whether it's in my online seminars or my live events, which are obviously not happening right now while we're in quarantine. I've been featured by the BBC, the Financial Times, on the front page of newspapers. My TED Talk has over 3 million views last time I looked. I've been given a ton of stupid and embarrassing names like the couples whisperer, the marriage miracle worker, because after using my marriage repair methodology, even the most stuck couples begin laughing and they begin feeling like a team again, right? But I wasn't always an expert at fixing relationships. I got to admit, in my 20s, I was more like a relationship disaster waiting to happen. And it was actually a failed relationship that first inspired me to look for help, and eventually, much to my surprise, led me to eventually helping others with their relationships. And I remember that day my girlfriend broke up with me. At the time, I'm convinced she's my soulmate, the one, right? How many of you can remember feeling that way about your partner too, convinced that they were the one? It's the best feeling in the world, right, isn't it? And during the day, I discovered little love notes that she's hidden for me to find, and we stay up all night long talking excitedly about our plans for the future, and somewhere around the 6-month mark, things begin to change. And little arguments about nothing suddenly explode into these blowout fights. And we'd both tiptoe around each other, wanting to feel close again, but not really knowing how to. I try to reconnect with her, but she pulls away from me and withdraws. And the more she pulls away and withdraws, the more upset I feel. And the more upset I feel, the more unsafe I feel. And the more I try to connect with her, and the more she withdraws. And we're stuck in this vicious cycle going round and round and round, going nowhere fast. Until one day she comes to me and she says, Bruce, you know, I love you, but relationships just shouldn't be this hard. I came to say goodbye. And I was devastated. That was like a knife through my heart. And the future we'd planned together suddenly kind of crumbled in front of my face, and I felt lost. How many of you ever had a breakup that left you feeling devastated? If you can relate, just type yes into the chat so I know you're following along. Well, eventually I do heal, and I make a promise to myself that I'm going to figure out exactly how to build a lifelong committed partnership if it is the last thing I do in my life, because I never want to feel that kind of pain again. And so I begin searching out the world's best couples therapists, relationship researchers. I fly all over the world to learn from them in person. And pretty quickly, I realized that a lot of what I thought I knew about love might not actually be true. I discovered communication skills might not actually be as important as I thought they were, and they can even damage your relationship. Who knew? I learned that scientists have discovered that happy couples are in fact dependent on each other. I'd always been told that dependence was kind of like a sign of weakness, not a sign of strength. I didn't even have a picture of what a healthy, dependent relationship could even look like. I got so excited by what I'm learning, I just can't help but share it with all my friends, some of whom are also struggling in their marriages and their relationships. And after the third person tells me that I just saved their marriage, I think to myself, maybe I should get qualified and do this professionally. I might have a future here. And long story short, I closed down my business. I go back to school. I get qualified to help struggling couples multiple times. Eventually, Love at First Fight is born. And apparently, I'm meant for this job because as word spreads about my success rate, couples therapists begin referring their toughest clients to me. And 10 years later, I'm teaching my relationship repair methodology to therapists from Harvard University. I'm helping thousands of people each year get back on the same page and finally be happy together. So that's a little bit about how I came here to be, how I came to be here today. And in case you're wondering, along the way, I met my match in every sense of the world. Let me promise you that. And I was smart enough to put a ring on her finger. But that's enough about me. Let's dive into the training. And let's kick off with quarantine secret number 1. How to get your needs met. Okay, let's talk about needs for a minute. So in any relationship, we have to balance 2 core needs. Okay, I want you to take note here. The need to be communal, the need to be a we, okay? The need to be part of a group. These are all communal needs. And the need to be autonomous, the need to be a me, somebody individual. Okay, and this kind of balancing act gives rise to 2 basic relational needs. Okay, the first one is the need for closeness. We all have the need for closeness. And the second one is the need for separateness. We all have the need for separateness. Now, normally, when we were, if we weren't forced to stay at home in quarantine, we'd get our need for closeness met when we came home from work, and we'd stay at home. And normally, we'd get our need for separateness met by leaving the house, for example, going to work or going outside for a walk or going to the gym. But since quarantine means that we can't actually leave the house, we're completely screwed when it comes to getting our need for separateness met, okay? Now, if you're an introvert, you're doubly screwed because introverts recharge their internal batteries by being alone, which means it's a whole lot more difficult to do during quarantine. So being in quarantine as a family might be tolerable for a couple of days or so, but after a week, the cracks are going to begin to show. And after a couple of weeks, expect your home to turn into a minefield with everybody tiptoeing around on eggshells around each other, feeling a little bit stressed from time to time, maybe overwhelmed, maybe exhausted, maybe irritable, maybe annoyed, maybe just flat out angry. And that's when arguments are going to erupt into these blow-up fights. And one argument won't kill you, but imagine if we were all forced into quarantine for a couple of months. It'll be a shit show at home before long. I promise you that, okay? So listen up, because even your Labrador is going to be grumpy if that's the case. So here's what we're going to do to make sure that we are all happy at home if this quarantine thing lasts a whole lot longer than we'd like it to. No, I don't mean the kind of family planning meeting before you have kids. We are going to have a family planning meeting. I mean, we're going to sit down with your household and we're going to figure out how to get everybody's needs met while living in such close quarters together. And here's what I suggest you do this evening, tonight, at dinner, before Monday and another week starts, okay? I want you to sit with your family and you're going to propose this. Don't worry, you don't have to write this down. I'm going to give you some handouts at the end of the webinar. You can download them at the end with all of this written out for you. You're going to propose this. You're going to say to your family, guys, I know that none of us planned on spending the next couple of weeks or even the next couple of months at home together. And it's going to be difficult for all of us unless we learn to work together and to help make sure that all of us have what we need. So let's take turns going around the table tonight and let's say what we need in order to feel good every day. Who can think of a need immediately? And then you're going to have somebody scribe and they're going to write down what everybody says. Now, the kind of needs you're looking at, like the needs for space, the need to exercise, the need for some alone time, the need for silence, the need for sleep. Like, how are you going to manage all those things if there's 4 or 5 of you living in a small little space, okay? So you're going to listen to what everybody says. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask the question, how can we all help meet that need with you? How can we help you get that need met, okay? If somebody at the table doesn't know what they need, or they kind of go, I don't know, offer this. How can we help you meet your need for privacy and for alone time? Because every single one of us has a need for privacy and alone time. For example, with my wife and I, along with her 2 kids, we're all currently holed up during quarantine in a little 2-bedroom apartment in Chile. Why? Well, my wife and I, thinking that both kids had left the home, they'd gone to university, we thought we were empty nesters. And we're happily traveling the world when the quarantine happened, when the coronavirus hit. And normally we'd have returned home to wait it out, but we'd rented our home out for 6 months. So we couldn't return home because our home had tenants in it. So when the coronavirus hit and universities closed, the 2 kids came home to roost again. But we'd had a little 2-bedroom apartment in Chile. The 2nd bedroom was for my office, okay? And overnight, my home office became the kids' new bedroom. And it's all four of us in a 2-bedroom apartment 24/7. And it's challenging because it's not the biggest apartment in the world. So here's what I was struggling with personally. I need a private place to work, and I need complete silence when I work. And I need also my 20-minute nap in the afternoon. I know it makes me sound like an old man, but I need my 20-minute nap in the afternoon. So how can my family help me meet those needs? Well, the kids have agreed to be quiet during my client calls and during my 20-minute nap time. Earplugs are also my close friend. And this is my balcony. I just converted it into like a temporary office space, and everyone's agreed to stay away from it while I work there. Not rocket science, okay? So it makes an enormous difference to my life, but it's not a big ask from them, okay? So my wife and stepdaughter, they're both introverts, and they need their alone time every day, or else bad things happen, okay? So my wife gets the bedroom to herself at the end of the day to unwind. She's there right now reading her book, or veg out on Netflix or whatever she wants. And my stepdaughter, she has her headphones on, and we leave her alone, right? Simple. They get their recharge time, and all is well in their world. But if you don't know what their needs are, you won't know how to fulfill them. Now, you might think all of this sounds rather obvious, but unless you've actually made your needs explicit, chances are your family won't know what your needs are. So have a chat at the dinner table tonight. Take some notes on everybody's needs. Get clear around how you can all support each other having a good time around quarantine. And this will go a long way to making sure that you feel recharged, respected, and cared for if this thing lasts more than just a couple of weeks, especially if it lasts a couple of months, okay? So that brings us to quarantine secret number 2. Okay. Now, just like each of us prefers to write with our right hand, that's me, or our left hand, that might be some of you, each of us also prefers to use one of 3 survival strategies to ensure that we stay alive. Now, these survival strategies are totally unconscious to us. We're not aware that we're using them, and you've probably never heard about them until now. Okay. But in uncertain times, like this coronavirus thing and people infected with it being dangerous and threatening our physical safety, we're going to be using our survival strategy all the time to survive. And if your survival strategies are different, it's going to be a source of great conflict between you, because all of us have a different survival strategy. So if you don't respect each other's survival strategy, quarantine won't be fun. But when you appreciate your partner's survival strategy and you're aware what, you first have to be aware of what it is, a lot of unnecessary misunderstanding and maybe World War III is going to be kept at bay in your household. You can thank me later. So what are the 3 survival strategies? The first one is self-preservation. And this is the drive to be prepared in case a threat appears. The second one is the social survival strategy. And this is the drive to be valued in a group in case a threat appears. And I'll explain each one a little bit more in a moment. And the third one is the one-on-one survival strategy. And this is the drive to be intimately connected to one other person, just in case a threat appears, they'll have your back, okay? Now, all of us can use all 3 survival strategies, but just like writing with our right hand, we will prefer to use one of them over the other 2. So let's take a quick look at each of them and we'll go through them. Okay, so self-preservation, their motto is, when the shit hits the fan, I can only count on me to protect myself and my family, okay? So this person stays alive by being prepared for anything, right? Before coronavirus was even announced, they probably already had a stockpile of dried foods in the cupboard, tin cans, they had a whole lot of toilet paper, maybe even guns and ammunition in the gun safe downstairs in the basement. And it had probably been there for years and was going moldy already, okay? Just in case something like coronavirus happened, they are prepared. In fact, even if they can't work right now, it's probably not such a big deal, because they probably have a rainy day bank account just for times like these. So if they had a slogan, it might be me against the world, okay? Now, if your partner uses the self-preservation strategy, go and give them a hug right now and thank them. Why? Because they are the reason you're sitting comfortably right now while the rest of the unprepared world panics, okay? You might also want to apologize for giving them such a hard time about all that junk in the basement for all those years, okay? So that's the self-preservation strategy. This is the social strategy. And their motto might be, when the shit hits the fan, I can call on my network of friends to protect me and my family instead of me looking after myself. They're going to look out for me because they've got resources. So the person who uses this strategy stays safe by kind of like staying in the hearts and minds of influential people in their community or in their tribe, okay? They want to be popular, but not necessarily for their ego's sake, But because popular people have got a lot of options during times of crisis, right? Because they're popular and because they're well connected, they can just call on another member of their group who might have a useful resource that they need in order to help them survive. So if they run out of food during a famine, one phone call will probably fix that. I actually had a friend of mine, he's a social survival strategy, and his wife was on a cruise liner when coronavirus hit, and the borders to his country closed. She couldn't come home. First thing he did is he picked up a friend who, picked the phone, called a friend who has a farm with a whole lot of food to last 6 months, guns, ammunition, place for her to stay. And the friend said, sure, send her over. She can stay as long as she needs to. That's the power of having a network, right? Now, if they had a slogan, it might be my group against the world. Instead of me against the world, it's my group against the world. Now, of all the three types, the person who uses the social survival strategy, they're going to suffer the most during quarantine. Why? Because it's hard for them to stay at home where they can't connect with other people face to face, right? You'll probably find them spending a lot of time staring at their phone or, on the phone as a way to connect with their friends instead. Now, if your partner uses the social strategy, again, go give them a big hug right now and thank them immediately. Why? Because of all the time they spent networking with others and actually didn't spend with you, was to make sure that you were kept safe during times of crisis just like this, right? So you might also want to apologize to them for giving them such a hard time about all the other people in their life. Those people might just save your life one day, okay? So the final one is the one-on-one strategy. And you could think of this the little quote from the one-on-one strategies: when the shit hits the fan, I can count on my partner to protect me and my family, okay? So the person who uses this strategy stays safe by attracting one significant other person to have their back, okay? The one-on-one person is looking for intimacy. They want to drop all barriers to closeness, and they want to create the perfect union. And from a survival perspective, they bet all their money on one horse. They put all their eggs in one basket, their partner, okay? So they invest their energy and their time into building an intimate relationship that they can turn to for support in times of crisis just like this, okay? Now, if they had a slogan, it might be you and me against the world. So instead of me against the world or my group against the world, it's you and me against the world, okay? So if your partner uses the one-on-one strategy, go give them a big hug right now. Thank them immediately again. Why? Because they've invested more time in you than anyone else on the planet ever has or ever would, except maybe your parents, okay? They've put you first. They've kept you safe. They've stroked your head when you were sick. They've generally made sure that you were okay and had your back. And if the world comes to an end, they might be the only person standing by your side, on your side, supporting you, fighting for your survival with you. And while you're at it, you might also want to apologize to them for giving them such a hard time, for pushing you to reveal how you're feeling all the time. They were just wanting to know you better so that they could support you better, okay? So those are the three survival strategies. Now, I want to know from you guys, what survival strategies are you using in your relationship? I've put a poll on the screen, and I want you to click on self-preservation, social, or one-on-one. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. We're going to see how the votes add up. I'm going to give you like 5 seconds to do that, and we'll count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to end the poll, and right. Oh, you guys are still voting. Okay, I'll give you a little more time. You're still voting. Geez, the votes are still coming in. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. All right, so 29% of you are self-preservation, 17% of you are social, and 52% of you are one-on-one. Now, why is that not surprising? You're on a relationship webinar, learning how to improve your relationship during quarantine. What does the one-on-one person do? They improve their relationship. It's kind of obvious. It's not surprising. I didn't know how the poll would go, to be honest with you guys, but I'm not surprised that it did go that way. Thank you all for voting. That's super helpful and interesting to me to see the results of that. So have you figured out your partner's survival style yet? Okay. Is your partner's survival style self-preservation, social, or one-on-one? Now, if it's the same as yours, I want you to type the word same into the chat box. If it's different from yours, I want you to type the words different into the chat box so that I know, okay? Now, if you're both using the same survival strategy, okay, then it's going to be probably a lot easier for you both to get along during quarantine. You're going to have similar expectations of what quarantine looks like. But on the other hand, by doubling up on your survival strengths, you're also doubling your survival weaknesses by putting kind of all of your survival eggs in one basket, so to speak, okay? So if you're both one-on-one, like my wife and I are, you know, that's great because we think the same, generally, so it makes life a little bit easier. But we've got to pay attention to preparation and being prepared. We've got to make extra effort to do that, and extra effort to reach out to our network and stay in touch with our network, because it's very easy for the two of us to just cocoon up together and forget about the world, right? So I recommend you have a conversation about, you know, the other two survival styles, if you're both the same, and how you two might benefit from incorporating them into your life together. Explain this to your partner if they're on the call. Let's see, Lisa says different, Jay says different, Nicole says different, Linda says same, Lindsay says different, Kathy says different, Leah says different, Jeff says different, Chris is different, Sue says different, Bob same, M different, Greg different, Lisa different, Rachel different, Sandy, okay, there we go. All right, so a lot of you, more of you different than the same. Okay, interesting. So let's have a look at what to do if you're different, right? So if you have a different survival strategy, then you may have already had fights about how to prepare for and how to survive, or how not to prepare for and how not to survive quarantine. Maybe you can have a conversation today about how your different styles are different, and ask your partner to explain more about what they've been doing to prepare for quarantine, right? And start understanding and appreciating them and thanking them as they share, and understand that their approach will be different to yours. It's not wrong. That in fact, it can actually be an advantage to have two people in a relationship with different strategies, because between the two of you, you've doubled up on your strategies. If you've got one-on-one and self-preservation, now you've got 2 out of the 3 strategies covered, right? So that could actually be a benefit for you if the proverbial shit hits the fan, right? So the point of knowing about these 3 strategies is to become more tolerant, more appreciative, more compassionate towards each other. When we don't understand how we're different from each other, it's just really easy to assume that our partner's wrong, or that they're bad, or they're just plain crazy, right? And that's not going to help things, especially in quarantine. So everyone uses one of these survival strategies. Can you figure out which your children use, which your neighbors use, which your parents are using? Because everyone around you is going to have a different one, and understanding their survival styles is going to help make sense of your entire life. And if between the two of you, you cover 2 bases, the third survival style that isn't covered, go find somebody who's good at that survival style and ask them for advice. Cool, simple, hey? Isn't this an amazing, simple distinction? I think it's incredible, right? All right, so that brings us to quarantine. By the way, are you guys having fun? If you're having fun and you're learning something so far, just type yes with a big exclamation mark into the chat box, and I know you're following along. I want to make sure you guys are all having fun, and we're having fun, and you're learning about it. Alicia says yes. Okay, good. Thanks, Alicia. I appreciate it. I'll wait for a couple more yeses. If you're having fun, type yes. Ron, hi, Ron. Hi, Sandy. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, you guys are saying yes. Fantastic. Okay, that makes my heart sing. All right, let's do this. So, quarantine secret number 3. And this is going to be a long one. This actually, number 3 might be the rest of the webinar as we figure this out together. Got a lot of tools for you around this one. So, how to handle conflict without blowout fights. And before we go there, you know what we should do? We should probably just quickly take a stretch break. We've been here half an hour together. So everybody stand up and stretch. Put your hands above your head. I'm not going to stand up because all you will then see is my belly button. And I promise you that's not going to make your day better. Stretch. Get in your tippy toes. See if you can touch the roof. Take a deep breath in. Push your belly all the way out. Bring your arms to the side. Shake your wrists a little bit. Roll your neck in a circle. And the other direction, in a circle. All righty, that's good. Okay, so quarantine secret number 1 was, let's do a quick recap, hold a family meeting, okay? The first secret for thriving is to hold a family meeting, make sure everybody gets a chance to express their needs. Then you all collaborate on how to meet those needs. I'm gonna give you a handout at the end of the webinar with all of this stuff in it so you don't remember anything, okay? Quarantine secret number 2 was have a conversation with your partner about your different survival strategies that you both use so that you and your partner can understand each other and appreciate each other for how they're different. It's going to remove a lot of conflict from your relationship right away. Now, that brings us to quarantine secret number 3, how to handle conflict without blowout fights. And this is one area where most couples struggle. And during quarantine, this is the one area that's going to get a lot worse if you don't follow the guidelines I'm about to show you. Because, before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to handle conflict, we first need to understand some of the backstory behind why conflict exists. So pay attention, because I've put in some slides here from one of my other webinars, and I'm going to move through them quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on them. So what most people don't realize is that the number one predictor of divorce isn't conflict, okay? It's the absence of conflict. Couples that don't fight end up in the divorce courts. Why? Because nothing ever gets resolved between the two of them, because it just gets swept under the rug and never spoken about. Now, that doesn't mean that fighting is going to keep you together either, because conflict can destroy you if it doesn't get resolved. You see, the couples that stay happy together over the long term learn how to resolve conflict and deepen their understanding of their partner in the process of resolving the conflict, okay? Now, the second thing we need to know about conflict is that it's a normal part of the power struggle stage, okay? So let me explain. Just like we grow up from being kind of like children to teenagers and then ultimately into adults and then maybe a wise old man or a wise old woman, relationships also develop in predictable stages. In fact, researchers have identified 3 basic stages that every relationship has to go through, one after the next. You cannot skip a stage, and most couples actually never make it to the 3rd stage. Now, I'm going to help you understand the 3 stages just very quickly, and as I do, I think your current situation may make a little bit more sense, because it's going to become obvious where you're at and what you need to do next. So the first stage, you guessed it, it's the one we all know and love, it's the romance stage. It's that wonderful time where we lose ourselves, falling head over heels in love with that special someone. You remember what it was like falling in love? Right? When we're falling in love, we are literally high on drugs. Our brain is pumping out a cocktail of love drugs into our bloodstream, like serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and they're all designed to do one thing, to get you hooked on the person that you're falling in love with. And our kind of drug-induced haze makes sure we only see our partner through rose-tinted glasses. And the drugs force us to see only where we're similar. And we totally ignore our differences. We tell our friends things like, oh my God, I think I've met the one. We've got so much in common. I think we're perfect for each other. How many of you remember doing that with your partner, right? Okay. So nature drugs us just long enough to fall in love and commit to spending the rest of your life together with the most incompatible person in the entire universe, somewhere between 2 months and 2 years. And then bam, just like a time bomb going off, you reach, dun, 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 the power struggle stage, which you could kind of think of as your relationship's teenage years, okay? Now, if nature designed the romance stage to get us to merge together as one unit and become a we, then nature's higher purpose for the power struggle stage is for us to separate a little and kind of reclaim our sense of autonomy. And researchers refer to this as individuation. And it's often a really stressful, scary, and lonely time with lots of conflict. And as our 50% divorce rate shows, it ain't easy, right? I once heard a dumb joke that love is holding hands in the street, but marriage is holding arguments in the street. It's not funny, I know. But what the joke alludes to is the romance stage is holding hands in the street. And what happens next when you get married is the power struggle. And that's where the conflict starts. Remember earlier when I said your relationship struggles weren't really your fault? Well, that's because they're the power struggle's fault. You see, when those delicious love drugs from the romance stage suddenly wear off, we wake up to the reality of who our partner really is, and we think to ourselves, oh no, if I'm going to be with this person for a long time, there's some things that are going to have to change. And it's not me, Buster, it's you, right? And so slowly, the little things you used to love about your partner during your drug-induced haze of the romance stage begin to seem annoying instead of endearing. Like maybe you loved his sense of humor, but now you hate the fact that he cracks jokes all the time when you want him to pay attention to you and just be serious about something. Or maybe you first fell in love and admired her ability to be so in touch with her emotions, but now it feels like you're sharing a bed with a fiery dragon or a drama queen, right? So where first you could only notice how similar you were in the romance stage, in the power struggle, all you can see is how different you are. So where love used to flow easily, now it feels as if that invisible wire linking you together might have a faulty connection. Sometimes you're connected, sometimes you're not. And so the conflict begins. You blame each other, forcing your partner to defend themselves. And then instead of feeling like a kind of a safe place for your head to rest, your relationship begins to feel more like a boxing ring. Okay, before you know it, you're sleeping on separate sides of the bed. Most relationships don't make it past the power struggle stage. They end here. How many of you already know how hopeless it feels to be at this stage? If you feel like you know the stage well, type yes into the chat box so I know that you're there. It's awful, right? Now, if you're lucky enough to make it past the power struggle stage without breaking up, you arrive at the mature love stage. Now, check out my hands here for a second. If the romance stage was meant to glue you together like this, and the power struggle stage is meant to help you separate and become two again without losing yourself or losing each other, then the mature love stage is about learning to be dependent on each other and independent from each other in a kind of flexible way. And this is known as interdependence, okay, interdependence. And we reach the stage when we move away from seeing ourselves as two separate individuals with a relationship to seeing ourselves as two partners in a team, working towards a common shared vision or a goal together, kind of like a three-legged race. And in the mature love stage, things get a lot easier. We stop wanting to change our partner. We know all their bad points, and we've learned to accept and love them, warts and all. It doesn't annoy us anymore that they're always late, or that they're 10 times messier than we are, or that they're a control freak or a neat freak or any other kind of freak for that matter. You feel intimately known, and you feel wholeheartedly accepted. Conflict no longer takes over your conversations, okay? And you can both naturally make choices that are best for the team, not just best for you. Okay. Often these couples work on a joint project together that makes the world a better place. Could be a business or it could be a charity, whatever it is. The inspiration from it comes from their partnership. Okay. And the research shows that compared to couples in other stages, people in the mature love stage report lower levels of stress, better health. They can live up to 10 years longer than unhappy couples. They have high levels of happiness. And here's an interesting one. They are more successful in their careers. They make more money. Have you ever seen that old couple who've been together forever? They're holding hands on a car park bench, gazing lovingly into each other's eyes, and he flirts with her playfully, and she giggles and says, "Oh, stop it, honey." When you hear them speak, you can almost feel their appreciation for each other, kind of like shining out from inside each of them. It's a safe, easy, playful kind of connection. That's the mature love stage. But sadly, the majority of us never make it past the power struggle, and even if we stay together, we may stay stuck, struggling to feel safely connected for years until eventually the constant tension between us becomes normal, and slowly we turn into strangers living under the same roof, or we feel more like brother and sister than passionate lovers. So I'm curious to hear which stage you guys might be in. I'm going to put another poll on the screen, and I want you guys to select romance, power struggle, or mature love on the right-hand side of your screen. You can let me know which stage your relationship is by clicking one of those buttons. Off you go. I'm going to give you 10 seconds, and then I'll read out the poll results. All righty. Let's see where you guys are at. Whoa, power struggle is radically winning right now. Okay, 0 of you at the romance stage. That's kind of obvious, because if you were at the romance stage, you wouldn't be living together in quarantine, and you wouldn't be on this webinar. Okay, 18% of you say you're in the mature love stage. 82% of you say that you're in the power struggle stage. Thanks, guys, for voting. Really appreciate it. That's really useful. And that's not surprising, those results. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't. But I can tell you this. From having worked with tens of thousands of people over the years, and just knowing human beings, with the extra stress of quarantine and you all living together 24/7, unless you learn some relationship skills, things are going to get worse, not better. Okay, because the biggest mistake that couples make is not bad communication. It really isn't. I know plenty of couples who are terrible communicators, but they're actually quite happy together. You want to know what the biggest mistake couples make is? It's waiting too long before getting help with their relationship, before learning the tools, because the reality is relationships have a breaking point, a point of no return. And if you go past that point of no return, it's unlikely that you'll be able to repair things afterwards, okay? Life is short. We only really have one chance at it. And right now, we're all quite present to that in quarantine. Nobody wants to stay trapped being unhappy, or stay stuck in a relationship that makes them feel insecure, or stay stuck at home in a marriage with someone that they don't get along with. If you don't get past your power struggle stage, your relationship, particularly in quarantine, is at risk. Whether you believe me or not, the divorce statistics don't paint a pretty picture. You can see them on your screen right now. So don't wait until things get that bad before you reach out for help, because otherwise you'll wake up alone in bed one day in an empty home, having had a revelation about what you've lost, and a revelation that came just a little bit too late to make a difference. And if you have kids, their lives are actually also at risk of being derailed too, because attachment researchers are now referring to children of divorced families as having suffered childhood trauma. So if you're telling yourself your kids will just be fine, think again. Your kids will model what they see you doing. Now, what kind of relationship would you like them to copy? A struggling one or a healthy, loving one? Of course, obviously, a healthy, loving one, right? So the good news is that in a moment, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. But First, let me introduce you to two of my favorite characters, the hailstorm and the turtle. Forgive me if you've heard some of this stuff before in a previous webinar. For those of you who haven't, it's important that we all get on the same page. So have you ever noticed that when arguments escalate, one of you ends up pursuing and getting kind of all worked up, and the other one ends up withdrawing and kind of shutting down? Okay, it's the most common relationship pattern out there, and I call this pattern your fighting style. Okay, now if you don't understand how you react to conflict, fights will blow up often, and you'll both end up hurting each other unnecessarily. Okay, so I call the person who pursues and gets all upset the hailstorm, and the person who withdraws and shuts down the turtle. Okay. Now, when hailstorms feel anxious about their relationship, or they don't feel safe, or they feel scared, they try to get their need for safety and reassurance met by letting their partner know in no uncertain terms what's wrong. Okay. And it's usually what's wrong with their partner. They can easily come across as being critical or demanding. They'll tend to drop an emotional hailstorm on their partner. And the less safe they feel, the louder they'll protest and the more clingy they can become. Now, on the other hand, the turtle kind of freezes, and then they retreat into the safety of their shell until they feel safe enough to pop their head out again. And when they do this, they often tell me they feel numb inside. And if you ask a turtle how they're feeling while they're shut down, they'll give you a one-word answer like, fine, okay, yeah, good. Sound familiar? Okay. Now, of course, the more clingy the hailstorm gets, the more terrified the turtle gets, and the more they retreat into their shell. And the more the turtle withdraws, the more clingy the hailstorm gets, until eventually the hailstorm withdraws as well. And now you've got both people withdrawn, and then the couple have much bigger problems. Hailstorms often tell me that they feel desperate to connect, and they're secretly afraid of being abandoned. And until they feel secure in their relationship, it kind of like becomes the central focus of their life. They can't focus on work. They get distracted from their responsibilities and their kids. They just want to get out of pain so they can feel normal again. Because hailstorms tend to feel emotional pain as physical pain in their body. Now, on the other hand, turtles often tell me they just need some space, right? However, they're secretly afraid that they might be rejected if they let their partner truly know them, if they open up their heart, or that they might be engulfed if they let their partner too close. So they shut down emotionally and they withdraw to protect themselves from hurt and to stop things escalating. Although, a turtle probably wouldn't like to admit it, because they like to be seen as self-sufficient, and they commonly pride themselves on not needing anyone. But they actually do need you just as much as you need them. Why? Because they're human, okay? Now, almost always when a couple comes to me for help to fix their marriage, it's because a hailstorm and a turtle have fallen in love, and they've arrived at the power struggle stage. And this pattern rarely ever gets better on its own, only worse. So what's your fighting style? I'm very curious. I'm going to put another poll on the screen, and I want to know if you're more of a hailstorm, or if you're more of a turtle, or if maybe you're a little bit of both. Okay, so vote on the right-hand side. You got 10 seconds. Let's get the votes coming in. While you're voting, in case some of you wondering, I am a recovering hailstorm, okay? All right, the votes are coming in, and hailstorms are severely outnumbering everybody here. Oh, it's evening out. It's evening out. Both is catching up. Okay, I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're ending the votes now, and the final results are hailstorms 44%, turtles only 5%. Wow, you turtles in quarantine must have had a really hard time, and you're so withdrawn, you would never get on a webinar like this right now. And both was 50%. Wow, that's interesting. A lot of both. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about what both means, perhaps if we have time at the end of the webinar. All right. So let's have a look at actually what needs to happen in order to stop conflict escalating into blow-up fights. Now, most people think they need communication skills in order to stop fighting. But think about this. Did you ever need communication skills to talk to each other when you guys were falling in love? Of course you didn't, right? Conversations, they just flowed easily, and they were effortless, and they were fun, and they were playful. It was just natural, right? Why? Because you were high on drugs, that's why, okay? What do love drugs do? They make you feel safely connected to each other. And when you feel safe, you speak kindly to each other. But after the romance stage ends, you've actually got to learn to stay connected during the power struggle without the love drugs. And if you don't, you end up fighting, okay? You've got to learn to connect first before you speak. And then you'll be able to communicate kindly. Why? Because when you're already connected, you feel safe. Once you feel safe, you're able to talk through your challenging issues kindly because you don't perceive your partner as a threat. So, the hailstorm doesn't get upset and the turtle doesn't shut down. You guys getting this? It's a crucial distinction. Connect first, communicate later. Now, it was this breakthrough that led me to developing the love at first fight methodology. And in its really simplest form, it's just 3 steps. Connect first, communicate later, and then collaborate and resolve your differences. So when you feel connected first, you naturally want to communicate kindly. When you're connected and you're communicating kindly, you feel safe. And then collaborating together to resolve your issues becomes easy. So when I started using these 3 steps with my clients, their results went through the roof, skyrocketed. It's kind of so obvious now if I look back at it. So if you guys are struggling to feel safely connected, I'm going to teach you a simple tool from my online relationship repair program that I'll tell you about it later on. It's called the Love at First Fight coaching program. And I'm going to take one of those tools and I'm going to give it to you right now for free. It's going to help you feel more connected in a matter of days. Now, it's called the Appreciation Journal, okay? And it's one of more than 20 connection rituals and tools that I teach in my program. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to buy yourself a nice journal with blank pages in it. Spend $10 at least on a journal. Don't buy an old exercise workbook. Buy a nice one, okay? Now you're going to put a pen inside it and you're going to lay it down on top of the toilet seat. And here's what's going to happen. Every time you go to the bathroom, you're going to write down one thing in the book that you appreciate or you admire about your partner, okay? Now, what do you think is going to happen after a short while? Well, soon, your partner's going to have to go to the bathroom. They're going to arrive. They're going to see this book. They're going to open it up and see the pen inside. They'll open up and they'll read what you've written. In fact, after a couple of weeks, they'll have to page through pages and pages of beautiful things that the two of you have written for each other. And they'll read it and they'll smile. And their heart will melt. And they'll be inspired to write something that they appreciate about you or admire about you in the book. And before long, you guys are going to have 100, 200, 300 beautiful pages of these gorgeous things that you've written about each other. And next time you get into an argument or a fight, you're going to have to go to the bathroom at some point afterwards. You'll pick up the book, you'll open it up, and you'll have to page to find a blank page. And you'll see all of this history of love between the two of you. And you'll remember, you know what? Actually, we do love each other. You know what? Why don't I just let this go? Why don't I just go and connect with her and give her a hug? Why don't I just, go and give him a massage? And we'll talk about this and we'll get through this too. This is like an emotional battery that you're recharging, a connection battery. Now, you can get your family involved, get your kids involved. Everybody writes in the appreciation journal. If you're in a long-distance relationship, you can do this too. Create a text message group or a WhatsApp group or a messenger group, whatever messenger you use, and use that group solely for appreciation messages. No chit-chatting in that group, just for appreciation messages. If you don't know how to create a WhatsApp group or a text message group or a messenger group, ask any teenager that you know, and they'll tell you how to do it, okay? So here's what's going to happen after a short time. The feeling of safety and connection between the two of you is going to go through the roof. Fights are going to stop happening because when you come to talk to your partner about what's not working in the relationship, you don't escalate, they don't shut down, and the two of you end up feeling safe together, and you can have a normal, healthy, open conversation. I've got a couple of ideas to make this even more effective for you. And I apologize in advance if I'm speaking fast. I have so much to cover that I want to give you for free today that if I don't speak fast, we won't get through it all. So don't worry, you're going to get notes at the end with all of this in it, okay? So I want you to appreciate your partner not only for what they've done, but for what that displays about who they are. Said another way, I want you to appreciate a trait about your partner. So for example, you might say, honey, I so appreciate how much time you take to play with the kids while we're in quarantine, especially when I just need some alone time. Like, thank you for taking over for me. It just shows me what a great dad you are and what a loving husband you are. I love you. Great dad, loving husband, that's going to score you 10 brownie points. Looking after the kids, that's 2 brownie points, okay? So the first was appreciating an action, but the great dad is a trait. The great husband is a trait. Acknowledge traits. You can acknowledge actions as well, and it's kind of useful to tie the trait to the action. So, I appreciate you doing X. It tells me Y about you, okay? It shows me that you're this kind of person. Acknowledge what kind of person they are. That's going to melt their heart, okay? And very soon, the whole family is going to be feeling connected. It's a piece of cake. Do it tonight. If you can't go out the house to buy a journal and you're totally in lockdown, and you have to use one of your kids' journals, use one of your kids' journals, okay? Remember, connect first and then communicate. Now, we're going to take a short stretch break, but before we do, let's do a quick summary of how far we've gotten so far. Okay, so the first secret for thriving during quarantine is to hold a family meeting, make sure everyone gets a chance to express their needs, and then you're all going to collaborate on how to help them meet those needs. Next one is you're going to have a conversation about your different survival strategies that you both use, and everybody else in your family and maybe even your neighbors. You're going to thank your partner for using their survival strategy to look out for you. Okay. Next one. Now we're going to learn how to handle conflict without blowout fights, and we've learned about the 3 stages of relationship: the romance stage, the power struggle stage, and the mature love stage. We've learned about the hailstorm and the turtle, hailstorms need reassurance. Turtles need to feel accepted is the general rule of thumb here. We learned that the secret to successful communication is to connect with each other first before having a conversation. And you could do this using the appreciation journal. Another great way to do this is just, as you feel a disconnection happening, go up and give your partner a hug, or tell them something sweet and kind, or tell them that you love them, and watch. That'll soften them right there and then. I also taught you one of 20 connection rituals, that's what I call them, from my Love at First Sight coaching program called the Appreciation Journal. So you can start doing that right now. It's going to make your quarantine so much easier. And this is so good to do now during quarantine because you're all at home. You could write in this multiple times a day, but a minimum of once a day. Okay. Whew. We have covered a lot already. Okay. Let's all stand up and we're going to share. Sorry, we're not going to share. I'm just sharing my screen. That's why I said share. We're going to stand up and stretch. Hands above your head. Stretch. Take a deep breath in. Shake your wrists and your arms. Move your neck in a circle in one direction. And the other direction, maybe you want to shake your legs out. I'm going to, certainly. All righty. Are we having fun here? Isn't this awesome? I'm loving teaching you this stuff. I'm actually so glad I decided to do this. This is a whole, I should have done this a long time ago. It's a whole lot of fun. All right. So by now you're probably realizing that partnerships complex, right? And in quarantine, our problems are amplified 10 times unless we deal with them. None of us are born with the skills or the experience we need to build a powerful, fulfilling partnership that lasts. Nobody taught us how to create one that feels safe and passionate and fulfilling at the same time. And to make matters worse, we live in a culture that increasingly supports the myth that if your relationship requires work, you're probably with the wrong person. Beep. Wrong. Okay? So the odds are kind of stacked against us from the beginning, aren't they? But as it turns out, there's 7 specific love skills that pretty much guarantee you're going to have a great quarantine and you're going to be happy together. And I'm going to share them with you. And as I do, I want you to make a mental note of which one the 2 of you are struggling the most with during your lockdown and quarantine. Okay? So the first one is to nurture and repair connection. Again, I'm going to give these all to you. Connection is like relational grease. Kind of like lubricates conversations and stops friction between the 2 of you. Without it, your relating seizes up and then everything becomes hard work afterwards, okay? You'll constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells around each other. And so a little bit like walking through a minefield, you can't really relax because you sense that at any moment, you might stand on an emotional landmine and be blown to bits. So you're always on the lookout for a potential threat. And you stop being your usual happy-go-lucky, smiley self. Instead, you start to build protective walls around your heart. And after a while, this shutdown state becomes your new normal, and then you lose yourself in the relationship. In fact, I feel like I've lost myself. It's probably the #1 thing my clients say to me, usually turtles, to describe their unhappy relationship. But when you keep your connection alive, deliberately nurturing it and then deliberately repairing it when you realize that it's been broken, you can create a safe haven in your relationship. You can relax again. And that's where you're going to start laughing again, start playing again together, and actually having some fun and enjoying quarantine. I actually love the word repair because it actually gives us a clue as to how to connect. We need to repair, to come together as a pair again. All right, so the next set of skills you've got to learn are all related to communicating and to listening. So if your high school was anything like mine, there probably wasn't a communication 101 class. So when we talk about our feelings with our partner or our quote-unquote issues, of course we end up triggering each other and hurting each other and escalating. And when you're both upset and triggered at the same time, you could wipe out years of hard-earned trust and connection with one thoughtless sentence yelled in anger, or one stone-cold look of contempt, or one kind of turning your back, walking away, and slamming the door. But when you know how to listen collaboratively and speak collaboratively, instead of feeling invisible or misunderstood, you're both going to feel heard. You're both going to feel cared for. You're both going to feel validated. Okay, the next skill is called co-regulation. Now, regulation is just a fancy word psychologists use to describe being able to calm and stabilize your emotions. Co-regulation is a term that couples researchers use to describe the process of you stabilizing your partner's emotions and them stabilizing your emotions. So basically, you calming each other the hell down. Now, why is this important? Because if you can't reliably calm your partner down when they're upset or angry or scared or hurt or lonely, then you're powerless to stop a conflict from erupting and escalating into a fight, okay? And instead, your partner's going to get more and more upset with you until one of you lashes out and the other one shuts down. Guaranteed. It may already be happening, okay? Now, I want you to pay extra attention right now, because I'm going to share with you a little-known secret to having a ridiculously happy relationship or marriage. But I want to warn you, it flies in the face of conventional wisdom, so keep an open mind, okay? All right. If you want a happy relationship, you must learn how to help your partner with their difficult feelings. I'll say that again. It's your responsibility to help your partner feel better, especially when they're upset with you, okay? Now, until you can do this, your relationship will stay stuck in the power struggle stage, and you will be haunted by hurt feelings, okay? Many of us struggle with this idea at first because in our hyper-independent culture, we're taught that any kind of dependence is a sign of weakness. I know I certainly was. We're taught that we should only be responsible for our feelings, not anybody else's feelings. And if we ever take responsibility for anybody else's feelings, we're labeled, wait for it, codependent, right? So when your partner is upset, we expect, or when our partner is upset, we expect them to deal with their feelings and not expect them to help us, not expect us to help with them, right? And we don't expect to have to help our partner with their feelings. But the scientific research is clear, and it shows that this strategy doesn't work. Attachment researchers have discovered that we human beings are designed to be emotionally regulated by other human beings, okay? Ever noticed how a hug from a loved one can make you feel better much faster than, you can make yourself feel better, okay? Ever noticed how a compliment from someone you respect can make you feel more confident much faster than you can make yourself feel more confident? But our culture has taught us that to rely on our partner to do these things for us, to regulate our emotions, is actually unhealthy. So we don't. Instead, we abandon each other at the very moment when we most need each other, opening old wounds and old hurts as we do. It's tragic. Happy couples, though, they co-regulate each other, okay? They know how to calm each other down before conflict ever escalates to the point of no return. Struggling couples don't know how to regulate each other. Instead, they just trigger each other one after the next, over and over and over again. And so you've got to learn how to regulate your partner, and you've got to teach them how to regulate you, okay? Now, the next skill is learning to resolve conflict and heal old hurt. Most couples have at least one unresolved issue that they just can't seem to get past no matter how hard they try. And often this issue becomes a hypersensitive topic. It sparks finger-pointing and explosive fights at the mere mention of it. So if you leave this conflict unresolved, it doesn't go away. It just temporarily goes underground. But it always, always, always comes back, okay? And when it does, it sparks fight after fight, kills intimacy, kills emotional connection. Turtle withdraws, Hailstorm desperately chases in an attempt to get them to respond. This pattern always has a happy ending because eventually the hailstorm also withdraws and the relationship is almost at its end. And that makes intimacy impossible. And then it's just a matter of time before the relationship ends or one partner has an affair and gets their needs met outside the relationship. So you've got to learn how to resolve conflict and how to heal old hurt in a way that gets to the heart of the issue and heals it once and for all, okay? Now, if you're not exactly sure how to do that without sparking a fight, I'm going to give you a quick and dirty tool, just some sentence stems that you can use to prompt you to make sure that when you're upset with your partner, that when you share what's going on inside of you, you don't come across as a threat to them. Again, you're going to be able to download this in a moment when I give you the handouts. But the tool goes like this. It's 4 simple sentence stems. The first one is, when I saw you, or when I heard you, or when I felt you, whatever. So it might be when I saw you look away, might be the triggering action. Then you go, the story that I made up about that was that you were hiding something from me, for example, okay? I felt, and I want you to use one of these emotions, hurt, sad, lonely, or scared. Just start with one of those. If you don't think you're one of those, see if you can try harder, because if you start to use angry emotions and you put anything angry in there, you'll drive your partner away. You cannot put an angry, hurtful emotion in there. Okay, you have to put a soft, these are called soft emotions. I'll tell you about them in a moment. I felt scared. I need reassurance that you love me, or help with understanding what was going on, or to understand you, or I need to be heard, or I need a hug, right? You ask simply for what you need. Your need has to be a need internal to you. It can't be an external need. You can't say, I need you to stop doing X, because now you're focusing on your partner. Your need is to focus on what you need, and it's got to be stated in the positive, not the negative. So I need a hug, not I need you to stop yelling so loudly, okay? I need to feel safe would be a need. Simple. If you forget it, I'm going to give you the handouts to download right now. Okay, so on the right-hand side of your screen, oh no, heck, no, I just deleted them. Oh my gosh, hang on a second. I got to upload them again, guys. Forgive me, I just hit delete instead of, okay, come on, it's loading. My bad. Okay, I'm going to share them with you in a second. Handouts, share. All right, you should see them on the right-hand side of your screen. Download that file. It'll open in a new window. You're not going to lose the webinar. And then you can read all the stuff later on. So this tool will get you out of trouble quickly. If you want a ton more simple tools like this, actually a lot simpler tools, check out my Love at First Sight coaching program. I'm going to tell you about it later at the end. And with time on your hands right now in quarantine, it's the perfect way to use this quarantine to strengthen and improve your marriage. All righty, so the next skill we have to learn is to embrace our differences, because everyone's different, and more often than not, opposites do attract. So, if you don't understand how and why you're different, then when the going gets tough, it's going to be all too easy to conclude that your partner is just crazy or they're wrong. But that just makes them feel misunderstood or attacked. And that's when innocent conversations blow up over silly misunderstandings about your different views on things. You've got to do more than just understand or accept your difference. You actually have to embrace your differences, okay? So next we have to learn how to restore broken trust. Now, most of us can remember at least one incident where we felt like our partner might have betrayed us. And if trust isn't restored quickly, this feeling of betrayal always festers and turns into resentment, and nothing will destroy a perfectly good marriage or relationship faster than resentment. So here's a secret about restoring trust. Forgive and forget does not heal betrayals of trust. So if you want to be happy together, you have to get good at restoring broken trust, because we're all human, and if you're going to live together for years, it's inevitable that you'll break each other's trust at some point in time. So a little tip for you, okay? As you're going forward, during quarantine, if you and your partner have a tiff and you break each other's trust inadvertently, I'm sure, go to your partner straight away and say, I'm sorry. If you don't believe you've done anything wrong because you believe you were acting, with good intentions, you can still say, I'm sorry. But here's what I want you to say I'm sorry for. Honey, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. I never meant to hurt your feelings. What can I do to make this right? Okay? Apologize for having hurt their feelings if you can't apologize for the actions you took because you feel like you took the right actions. Everybody can always apologize for having hurt their feelings. It will make things right so much quicker, okay? Honey, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I messed up. I didn't mean to. You don't deserve that. I do want to fix things between us. What can I do to make things right? Do that quickly. Don't wait till the next day. Do it within 5 minutes, okay? Force yourself to if you have to. It'll be good for your marriage. Okay. All right. So back to the slides. Slide share. There we go. Okay. And finally, while of course it's common for sexual passion to simmer over the years, if your sex life has become boring or lifeless, and it's kind of likely to happen in quarantine because we're going to be so domesticated 24/7 and have no time to be apart, you have to do something about it, because without great sex, there really is not a whole lot of reason to be together. Because one of the main differentiating factors between a close friend and your husband, wife, spouse, partner, is that you make love with them. Okay, your partner, that is, not your close friend. So when the sex dies, you're basically just friends. And that's not bad, but you don't need to be committed for life to be friends. So you have to know how to keep your sex growing over the long term of your committed relationship. And I want to give you a quick and dirty way to do this. Firstly, you need to spend time apart. Even if you can't leave the house, give each other alone time. That will spark attraction again between the two of you. It'll help the two of you remember that you're separate. You're not so close together. The second thing is buy a book called 101 Nights of Great Sex. Get it delivered to you from Amazon. This book, you can tear out the pages, and each page that you tear out opens up, and inside there is an experience, a simple experience that will keep your sex life novel, that you can gift to your partner. Okay, they don't require anything fancy. It doesn't require lots of money. You probably have everything you need for half of them. You can do it at home. Okay, so tear out a page, take turns giving each other an experience. That's a little gift from me to you. 101 Nights of Great Sex. Type it into Amazon now. Go buy that book. It's awesome. It'll really make a difference for keeping your sex life passionate during quarantine and keeping your sex life novel. So give each other time apart and keep it novel by buying that book and trying new things. Okay, so Paul, which one are you guys struggling with the most out of these 7 love skills? Are you struggling with staying connected, communication, co-regulation, resolving conflict and healing old hurt, embracing differences, restoring broken trust, keeping sex passionate? I'll give you 10 seconds to vote. Right-hand side of your screen, off you go, click. Thanks, guys. And I see we've got a whole bunch of us. Man, it's so cool that people from all over the world here, a whole ton of us. All righty. I'm going to let the votes come in. And we're going to end the votes going, gone. All right. So 16% of you said connection, 33% said co-regulation, and 50% of you said resolving conflict and healing old hurt. Wow, 50% with conflict. Really useful to know. Thanks for voting, guys. I appreciate your honesty. You guys are awesome. All right. So are you starting to see that long-term committed relationships are not so simple? Okay. And just like learning to drive a car, it's kind of hard to figure out these relationship skills on your own. I mean, imagine learning to drive a car without someone showing you what the clutch does, or how to change gears using a stick, or how to balance the clutch and the accelerator in order to pull off, or how to parallel park. It would be way too dangerous. I mean, you just crash your car long before you ever figured it out on your own. Okay. Now, that's why we take driving lessons. The instructor shows us the ropes and makes sure we're not going to hurt ourselves or anybody else as we're learning to drive. And in the same way, the chances of you guys ever figuring out your relationship problems on your own are equally slim. You're far more likely to end up divorced or broken up or unhappy before you figure out how to fix things between the two of you. You actually need somebody who can see what you can't see to show you. So where can you learn these skills, and where can you get the help that you need with your relationship problems while you're in quarantine? Well, firstly, here's where not to look for help, okay? You don't want to be calling up your mom or your friends for help. Why? Because they love you, and that makes them biased towards taking your side and giving you advice that's best for you instead of advice that's best for your relationship, okay? Plus, they're not trained professionals, so although they mean well and they just want you to be happy, most of their advice is likely to come from conventional wisdom they probably read it in a magazine somewhere, not from proven scientific research. And conventional wisdom is what led to our 50% divorce rate in the first place. So the way I see it, up until now, you've only really had 2 options for getting help with your relationship. And the first is you educate yourself. That's the option I personally went with. And there are hundreds of great books, and you've got plenty of time to read during quarantine, okay? Many of them are written by incredibly bright relationship researchers. And if you've got the time to read them all, you'll gain a lot of knowledge. But it took me years to educate myself and figure out what worked and what didn't work. And most of us don't have that kind of time. We want results now. And the books have one big limitation. They can't transfer skills, only knowledge, okay? Think about it. You can read a book about how to drive a car, and you'll have a lot of knowledge, but you still won't be able to drive the car. You won't have the skill of driving yet, okay? You need a driving instructor to show you the skills and give you live, real-time feedback on what you're not doing correctly so you can get to the point where you can actually drive safely and not hurt anybody. Which is why after reading a ton of books by relationship experts, I then spent tens of thousands of dollars flying all over the world to learn the skills from these experts in person at their conferences, and I still do. So books have their limits, is what I'm trying to say. To arrive at the mature love stage, you'll need a teacher who can show you how to reconnect with each other, how to communicate kindly and listen, how to resolve conflict fast, how to restore safety and trust, how to become a strong team together, how to co-regulate each other. And we're not born with these skills. And you don't need to be the world's best at them in order to have a happy relationship. You just need to be good enough, okay? Another option is you hire a decent couples therapist or a marriage counselor locally to help you. And if you find a good couples therapist, therapy can help. You'll probably learn a ton of communication skills. However, it's unlikely that you'll get much education or any help with connection rituals or connection skills. The biggest problem is that conventional couples therapists don't work online. So during quarantine, therapy is kind of impossible. Then you'll need to convince your partner to go with you if you do find somebody. And assuming your partner does agree to go with you, most couples therapists will recommend 12 two-hour sessions. And I did a quick Google search and I found this guy's website. And he says his fees are based on the usual and customary rates for psychologists in the area. And he charges $230 for 50 minutes. So at this guy's rate, 12 session works out to be $6,624 for 12 sessions. Realistically, very few of us have pockets that deep, especially if you might have just lost your job or you cannot work because you're in quarantine at home. Money might be tight. So good therapy is out of reach for most people right now, which is why I recommend option 3 to all of my friends and all of my family. And option 3 is to find an expert relationship coach with a proven track record who specializes in getting past the power struggle stage. You hire them to coach you through your relationship struggles, pass on their wisdom, and help you get good at the relationship skills you need. And here's why I think this option's really cool. Afterwards, you're not dependent on the therapist to mediate your conversations. You actually learn relationship skills that you can then use together forever. And these skills will help you not only with your partner, but also with your kids, your colleagues, your boss, your employees. And it can be way more effective than conventional couples therapy because it combines education with skills coaching, okay? So you won't need to convince your partner to sit on a couch and dig up their past with a stranger. So it's a lot more likely the reluctant partner will want to participate in coaching than in therapy. And you can often work with your coach online from home, which is great during quarantine because you've got a ton of time to be together, to actually do the work together, and you might as well use it for something positive. And if you choose a coach with a good track record, you'll get results quickly. And it'll cost you a lot less than couples therapy. You won't need to drain all your savings just to pay for it. All you need to do is to find a relationship expert with a research-based curriculum who can give you the education, teach you the proven couple skills, and provide you with real-time coaching as you learn the skills together. And I'll show you how to find someone in a moment. So how many of you are starting to feel a little bit like this picture, a little overwhelmed right now? I know. I kind of felt that way trying to figure out all the stuff on my own too. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because then you won't implement what you're learning, then you won't take action. So let me ask you guys a question. We've had a lot of fun for the last, over an hour and 12 minutes so far. And I'm guessing you've learned some useful information. But it is impossible to master all the skills you need to get through your power struggle stage, to master conflict and into the mature love stage in only 72 minutes, okay? So I've got a question for you. If I had a way for you guys to be able to feel safely connected, to resolve your conflict, to learn how to co-regulate each other, to make it to the mature love stage together and have a great quarantine, how many of you would be okay if I took a little bit of time to share it with you right now and made you a ridiculously cool quarantine special offer? If that's okay, please just type yes into the chat box right now. I'm not going to continue until I get some yeses because I want to make sure that you feel like I've given you some value and I've got your permission to go ahead. So type some yeses into the chat box. When I see some yeses, we'll dive right in and I'll get going with the training. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Bob. Let's see some yeses coming in. Thanks, Linda. Really appreciate you guys. The training is not over. I'm going to be teaching you a ton more ideas and tools as we go through the course description. And I'm actually going to teach you some tools from the course as we continue. All right, let's do this thing. There's my little kitty cat. Okay, there's my kitty cat. All right, thank you. So here we go. The program is called the Love at First Fight Coaching Program. And it's a 7-week online home study program. I've been needing it for 9 years. It's an entirely new way to fix your relationship problems in your own time, from the comfort and privacy of your own home. And what's more, the curriculum is completely based on proven science. So whether you've just started bickering and you're 3 days into quarantine, or whether you're already one signature away from a divorce, you can breathe a sigh of relief because you're not alone anymore, okay? You're going to learn how to turn things around, even if you're the only one trying, or if your partner flat out refuses to take the program with you. You can still turn things around, okay? Over 7 weeks, I'm going to get you feeling safely connected to each other, even if that seems impossible right now. I'll walk you step by step through how to communicate about sensitive topics and resolve your recurring conflicts, how to regulate each other without, things escalating into World War III or one of you shutting down and retreating. And finally, I'll teach you how to collaborate and heal old hurt together and resentment between the two of you, so you can move past the power struggle stage and emerge as loving teammates together in the mature love stage. I've led this program to thousands and thousands of people from all over the world. So I know from experience that by the time we're done, the two of you will be feeling like a team who have each other's backs, who are on the same page. And with your biggest conflicts resolved once and for all, you're going to be belly laughing again with each other. You're going to be goofing around like playmates, just like you used to in the romance stage. This isn't some free ebook, okay? It's a complete relationship repair system that I've spent 9 years refining and still always refine. It's built around a curriculum grounded in proven science. The latest, most up-to-date research by the world's best relationship researchers is in this program, in the fields of interpersonal biology or attachment theory or emotionally focused couples therapy, the therapy with the highest success rate to date, and personality theory and a ton of other disciplines. But don't worry, you are not going to need to have a PhD to know any of this stuff, to understand anything you're about to learn. I've distilled all of the science down into super simple connection rituals, communication tools, conflict resolution strategies, step-by-step conversations to have. They're so simple a 7-year-old could use them. In fact, you can teach these to your kids too, and it'll make a big difference for their lives and their marriages when they grow up. I guarantee it is the most fun and affordable way you can improve your relationship fast. The program begins this coming Saturday, okay? Here's how it works. There are only 3 things we're going to do in the program, okay? Every weekend, you're going to watch a series of relationship repair videos in the private members area of the Love at First Bite website. The video is going to teach you and demonstrate all the skills, all the tools, all the mindsets, the strategies, the solutions you need to know to stop fighting, to start connecting, get back on the same page, build that invincible team you've been wanting to build. If you learned a lot from my free videos or from this webinar, this is a whole new level, okay? This is another level. One of my students, John, recently commented in the 5th week that he felt like the coaching program had been a 5-week-long aha moment. Now, the second thing we're going to do each week is we're going to complete assignments in the downloadable implementation workbooks, okay? These assignments are designed to give you light bulb moments, aha moments about yourself, about your partner, about your relationship dynamic, your family of origin dynamic. They also contain step-by-step guides for how to have the important conversations with your partner that are going to bond you together and restore the trust and safety and make the two of you feel better. And then the third thing we're going to do each week, this is the final thing we do each week, is you're going to get live coaching from me personally on our group mentoring call. So here's how that works. Once a week, we're all going to jump on a conference call together for 90 minutes, and you'll actually be able to ask me questions about your relationship or marriage, and I will give you personally answers and solutions tailored to your specific struggles in your marriage or your relationship. And what's more, as you listen to me mentor the other couples in the program, you're going to learn strategies and tools and insights that I'm teaching them that you can apply to your own marriage. How cool is that? These are fun calls. They're inspiring calls. They'll get your relationship unstuck fast. Everybody gets a turn to talk with me multiple times. Access to the conference line is completely anonymous. It's an audio-only call, no video. So you can participate in your pajamas if you want, okay? And ladies, that's good for you because you don't have to put makeup on, okay? All you need is an internet connection. Participation is completely voluntary. We use first names only, so nobody can identify you. There's no pressure to talk if you don't want to. That being said, I highly recommend you do talk so that I can actually help you guys. They're fun calls. If you can't make one of the calls, each one is recorded and it's posted in the members area right after the call ends. But what if you can't attend any of the calls? Maybe you're still working. Maybe you haven't got quarantine yet. That's okay too. Just send me in a question in the call replay page and I'll answer it on the mentoring call, and then you can listen to my answer on the replay of the call. So simple. So that's how the program works. Each week, you 1, watch the training videos. 2, do the exercises. And step 3, show up the mentoring calls. Simple. It works. In only 7 weeks, you will have fixed your biggest relationship problems. I promise you this. And you will be feeling deeply known and connected to each other again. Appreciated, trusted, heard, secure again. Okay? Last time I looked, we've collected over 181 typed pages of success stories, and it's growing every month from graduates of the program. And I want to show you some of them as I explain why the program works so effectively. So its success rate is partly because the curriculum is based on proven science. It's partly because the program is much less expensive than couples therapy, so anyone can afford it. And another reason is that because in most relationships, there's one partner who's more reluctant to get help. So often, because the thought of talking about their problems face-to-face with a stranger puts them off, they resist help. But they're a lot more likely to take part in an online program that they can do anonymously without having to leave the house than they are to go get therapy. But I think the thing that makes this program truly unique is that it works even if your partner flat out refuses to join you and you take the program alone. I'm not going to lie, I like getting emails from my students telling me how grateful they are they found this program and how well it works and how much it's changed their marriage and their life. It makes me feel good every time I open one of those in my inbox, and I want to keep it that way. So if you're not willing to invest 2 hours a week for the next 7 weeks into having the most loving, passionate partnership you can truly imagine, then this program probably is not a good fit for you right now. But if you're prepared to do whatever it takes to have all the love, all the trust, all the sex, all the happiness, all the security that you can handle, even if your partner isn't quite there yet, then I can show you how, okay? The program will work for your relationship whether you're still dating or whether you've been married already for 50 years, whether you're separated and wanting to get back with your ex, or even if your partner doesn't want to participate with you. Isn't that cool? We even have people who are single join the program to learn how to not repeat their past marriage mistakes in their next relationship. So no matter what your situation, I've got what you need in this program. You're going to get what you need, okay? Now let's take a look at what we're all going to learn together each week over the next 7 weeks. So you remember I spoke about those 7 love skills earlier that you need to repair your relationship? Well, each week we're going to master one of those core relationship skills. The first thing you need to do is to get connected. So our first module that'll start on Saturday is the connection module. And within a couple of days, your heart will be opening and you'll feel your partner softening towards you. And this is going to happen way quicker than you think because of 4 simple connection rituals that you're going to practice for the next 7 weeks. So in total, all 4 connection rituals take less than just 5 minutes a day. And they're going to get you both feeling close, inspired, loved, and spending more time, hanging out within days. You'll want to. You already learned about the appreciation journal. I've got 3 more simple ones just like that that are so powerful that you're going to do every day. Now, 2 of my students, Andre and Lynette, they had been married for 10 years. I love these guys. And Lynette told me that she felt disconnected from Andre for most of those 10 years. And after her first week in the program, she wrote to me saying, I just want to send a mail to say thank you. I've not felt disconnected or in love with Andre in years. You truly have changed my life forever. So you're probably thinking, like, how could they turn things around so quickly? How is that even possible, right? Well, I can't take the credit, only they can. All they did was take a leap of faith and start using the 4 connection rituals they learned in the connection module. That's it. So then in week 2, we're going to begin the communication module. This is drama-free communication. And I'm willing to bet that one of the reasons you're with me on this webinar is because you struggle to talk with your partner about your relationship without the conversation going south very fast, right? So in our second week together, I'm going to show you how to have drama-free conversations about any of your issues. I'll teach you a communication tool that will leave you both feeling closer afterwards and also get the issue resolved. And then we're going to identify which of the big 4 communication mistakes you and your partner are making. I'll share one of them with you right now so you get a sense of how easy it is to make these mistakes. Did you know that there is a 4-letter word that can derail any conversation with your partner in a matter of seconds? No, it's not that 4-letter word you're thinking of. Get your mind out of the gutter, people. It's way worse than that. And you probably use it multiple times a day. You want to know what it is? It's L-I-K-E, like. Hang on a minute. How can like be such a dangerous word? I'll show you. Imagine that you're upset because your partner didn't pick up the pasta sauce from the supermarket, and now you've got quarantine without pasta, right? Now you've cooked the pasta, but there's no sauce, and dinner's ruined, and it's not the first time this has happened. What do? You probably start telling them about how you feel about it. But this probably comes out something along these lines. I feel like you never do what you said you're going to do. And of course, your partner feels attacked, and so they get defensive, and they attack back, or they try to invalidate your argument by pointing out how unreliable you also are, or maybe they ignore you and they leave the room. But the problem is not them. It's not you either. It's like, okay? When we say, I feel like, usually what follows the word like is some kind of criticism or judgment. And we're not actually sharing a feeling after we say, I feel, right? Can you see it, right? I feel is meant to be followed by a feeling word, but like isn't a feeling, is it? And this is one of the big reasons that fights start when we try to talk about how we're feeling. So what's the solution? Well, it's kind of obvious. When you want to share how you feel about something important, simply remove like and instead share a one-word feeling. For example, I feel like you just don't respect me and you never do what you say you're going to do might turn into, when you forgot the groceries 3 times in a row, I felt frustrated, but deep down I just felt lonely. Can we talk about how I can support you to remember getting the groceries, please? See how different that is? Firstly, notice how much softer that comes across. Your partner's unlikely to get their back up if you approach them like that, okay? All we did was take out the word like and we replaced it with a feeling. Now I'll give you one more tip. Feelings are only ever one word, okay? Sorry, not like. I just did it myself. Like hurt, like lonely, like sad, like scared, like ashamed. In fact, these are the 5 most common soft feelings that my clients talk about in their sessions with me. So if you're using more than one word to describe how you're feeling, then you're not describing how you're feeling. You're describing what you're thinking. And you will end up driving a wedge between the two of you and disconnecting the two of you from each other. And if you actually share how you're feeling, then it's impossible to come across like you're attacking or like you're a threat or like you're criticizing, because you're talking about you. You're not talking about them. So I feel hurt. I feel sad. I feel scared. Those aren't threatening. They're vulnerable, right? They're real. They're honest. So these emotions are known as soft emotions. And research has discovered that couples who share soft emotions end up bonding closer together. But couples who share angry emotions with each other end up driving a wedge between the two of them. So saying I feel mad is not going to help your cause, but I feel lonely, for example, might actually invite your partner to want to come and comfort and reassure you. And this is the communication tool I promised you. It's powerful. Just use these one of these 5 one-word emotions whenever you share your feelings. Take away like, and you're going to get through 90% of your conversations. And if you use that tool I gave you earlier with those 4 sentence stems from the webinar handouts that you can go and download, they're on the right-hand side of your screen right now still, you'll be golden. Okay, so write down these 5 one-word feelings in your handouts, and then the next time you're upset, chances are that you'll be feeling one of these, and you can share it with your partner, and things will go a lot better if you share a soft emotion instead of an angry one. Okay. All right, next thing we're going to learn in week 2 are communication skills that you should have been taught at school but weren't. I'm going to teach you how to listen lovingly so your partner feels heard and understood, and they can never say to you, you never listen to me. Okay, that'll be gone. Then I'm going to teach you how to speak vulnerably from your heart without coming across as a threat to your partner. And when you speak like this, your partner can't help but want to listen to you in return and be curious to hear more. Because whether you're talking about your feelings or money or about sex or about parenting or even about a betrayal, by the end of week 2, you will have made it safely to the other side of 3 important conversations and resolved them kindly, respectfully, gently, and without blame, drama, or World War III erupting. Imagine how cool that would be. What a relief that would be, right? Then I'm going to walk you step by step through resolving your differences. And what's more, all of these skills are contained in one simple tool that you'll learn in the week 2 session in the communication module. Can you imagine how relieved you're going to feel knowing that your partner gets you? Imagine how much better you're going to sleep at night having resolved that issue that's been eating you up inside and tearing the two of you apart. How much safer you'll feel knowing that you've got the tools to handle any future issues that come up between the two of you. Week 2 is a game changer. You're going to love it. No more walking on eggshells for you guys. If your partner is an angry hailstorm, they're going to soften, listen, and offer you the space you've been asking for. If they're a shutdown turtle, they will pop their head out of their shell, they'll poke it out, and they'll open up to you and say hi. Finally, the last thing we're going to learn in week 2 is how to de-escalate any fight. So this is Doug and Leah. They're a really cute couple. They're also a professional songwriting team. And after completing the communication module, they wrote to me saying, after 4 weeks of the program, daily arguments are a thing of the past. We're connected, and we have so many communication tools to de-escalate and resolve conflict that it rarely ever occurs anymore. Impressive, right? Now, imagine if you only got half of what they did from the communication module. What would that do for your daily life, not to have arguments anymore? Would that make a difference? I'm guessing it would. So you'll finish week 2 with communication superpowers and big grins on your faces. Exciting. So now you don't have to just use these tools with your partner. You can teach them to your kids. You can use them with your boss, with your employees. Then in our third week together, we're going to begin the safety module, because when you feel safe, you'll get along famously. When you feel unsafe, everything becomes a struggle. Even a simple conversation about what to eat for dinner can feel threatening. And safety is kind of an abstract idea. So what does it actually mean to be emotionally safe? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean you're happy with each other all the time. You can be upset and angry and still feel safe around each other. I'll let you in on a secret about safety. Neuroscience tells us that as far as our brain is concerned, safety is not the absence of danger, but rather it's the presence of predictability. And research shows that when we feel safe around people whose behavior we perceive we can predict, okay? So when you can talk to your partner about anything and predict they won't judge you, you feel safe. When you're in serious trouble and you can predict your partner will have your back, they'll drop everything to help you, you feel safe around them. Now, obviously, it works both ways. You've got to be predictable for your partner too. So in week 3, we're going to eliminate anything that prevents you naturally feeling safe together. I'm going to give you a bunch of rituals that you're going to do predictably every day that will restore predictability to your relationship. They're potent, right? And most of them just take seconds a day to do, and they're going to have a really big impact really fast. And they'll help you with parenting your kids too. Because when kids feel unsafe around their parents, they act out, and then quarantine becomes an extra nightmare, okay? This is Pamela and Michael. They finished the safety module, and they wrote this to me. We're only in week 3, but I have to tell you, this program has already saved our marriage. That's impressive, right? Now, look, I wouldn't blame you if it's hard to believe that you could turn a relationship around in 3 weeks. How did Pamela and Michael do it? Remember that third love skill, co-regulation? Well, at the end of week 3, they learned a powerful tool that helped them calm each other down when an argument was about to escalate into a fight. You're also going to learn it in the safety module. So through an insightful set of questions, you'll figure out exactly what to do and what to say to soothe and to calm your partner in less than 30 seconds flat. Don't worry, they're going to learn how to do the same with you too, okay? Remember Harry Potter when he waves his wand and says a few special words and abracadabra, poof, magic happens? Well, you're going to feel just like a magician. When you say those words to your partner, and almost magically, they'll soften, they'll start smiling at you. Imagine what it would be like to have that kind of power over conflict, the power to magically make it stop. By the end of week 3, you're going to be laughing together a lot more. You'll be feeling safely connected. You'll be speaking kindly to each other, and quarantine will already be a lot more fun than it is right now. So what else do you need? Well, you need to resolve your old fights and heal any old hurt from the past that you might still be carrying around. And that's exactly what we're going to do with the Conflict Buster module, module 4. So in the 4th week, we'll start by identifying your main recurring argument. You know that one, the one that always keeps you up late at night, fighting in circles, going nowhere fast. We're going to tackle it to the ground, okay? Can you imagine the weight that will lift off your shoulders once that fight is resolved? The relief that will flood through your body. Your home will instantly feel peaceful again. Your kids will recognize it too. Next, we're going to neutralize your hot button triggers. Have you ever had a fight that just came out of nowhere and it escalated so fast that you were left thinking, what just happened? How did we go from talking about, what we're going to eat for breakfast to yelling at each other? Well, here's how. You see, all of us have these hot button triggers. I call them broken toes because when our partner brushes up against them, it really hurts and it feels like we're dancing together in relationship. So I want to give you a little metaphor to help you understand this. So imagine your relationship's a lot like a dance. And imagine you're dancing with your partner and your partner's got a broken toe that you don't know about, okay? In fact, they don't even know that they have a broken toe. Now, every time you dance together, after a couple of minutes, you brush your foot up against their toe and they go, ouch! What's wrong, honey? You hurt me. And you're like, I didn't hurt you. What are you talking about? And, imagine that they don't know they have a broken toe, neither do you. This is kind of what's going to happen. Now, imagine what happens when you have a broken toe and they have a broken toe. You don't know about yours. They don't know about theirs. You can see where this is going. It's going to be a shit show, right? Eventually, you'll both be yelling, ouch, stop hurting me. Stop hurting me. And neither of you will believe that you're hurting the other. You'll both be yelling at each other, pointing fingers. So what exactly is a broken toe? It's an old emotional wound, ancient history from our past that's still sensitive because it hasn't healed up yet. And so by standing on each other's broken toes, you're basically reopening the old emotional wounds, and that's what causes conflict to erupt. And if you don't understand your partner's emotional wounds and your emotional wounds, you'll think they're crazy. So in week 4, you're going to discover 3 of your broken toes, and you're going to tell your partner about the 3. They're then going to discover 3 of theirs, and they're going to tell you about theirs. Just that alone is enough to change your relationship entirely, because once your partner understands why you do what you do when you get upset, they can avoid first triggering you, and secondly, they don't think you're crazy, and they'll be able to not take it personally and be there to comfort and support you when you need them most. But we're not going to stop there. By the end of week 4, you'll both have started healing those wounds, and soon you'll be able to talk about what used to be hurtful topics without them escalating. And once they're healed up, dancing together through life is going to be a whole lot more fun. This is an email I got from a student who wants to remain anonymous, but they wrote to me saying, we've gotten way better at fighting. Arguments used to last days. Now they only last a few minutes. It's kind of incredible. So this is the kind of result you should expect from week 4. Powerful, right? This is game-changing stuff, life-changing stuff even. So week 5 is the insight module. And this is where you're going to get profound insight into your personalities and how they're different and how to make those differences work for you instead of against you. You see, when we're falling in love, our differences are often the thing that bring us together. But during the power struggle stage, those same differences can drive you freaking bananas. You know what I'm talking about. I certainly do. If you can't understand and accept your differences, you'll both end up feeling judged, feeling misunderstood, and very quickly lonely. So in the insight module, I'm going to introduce you to 3 personality systems that will explain why you're different and teach you how to turn those differences into strengths, okay? One of the personality systems you'll discover is your attachment style. Now, I've already introduced you to the hailstorm and the turtle, but there are actually 3 more: the chameleon, the wolf, and the sheep. The chameleon changes themselves into whoever they think their partner needs to be in order to avoid conflict. If you said you were related to both the hailstorm and the turtle, you could be a chameleon. The wolf learns to avoid hurt by being strong, very independent and in control at all costs, invulnerable. And the sheep learns to avoid being hurt by being compliant and sometimes to the point of tolerating abuse. Okay, so if you're related to both hailstorm and turtle, you might be a chameleon or wolf or sheep. And there's subcategories of hailstorm and turtle. So if you didn't strongly relate to either of those, you might be one of these. Now, I've given them more memorable names because the scientists who developed this stuff give them really boring, unmemorable names. Each one has different relationship fears. Each one longs for different things from their partner in order to soften and feel safe and thrive in a relationship. And because you can't change the things you don't understand, until you know how to, and you understand each of your attachment styles and how they inform your behavior and your partner's behavior, you're not going to be able to accept each other warts and all, nor will you be able to change your relationship dynamic. Because whenever your partner does something that doesn't make sense to you or seems extreme, you'll assume it's because they're broken or they're wrong or they're flawed or they just plain look or crazy, right? And that'll keep you stuck in the blame game thinking if only they'd change. So understanding each of your attachment styles is going to give you a huge aha moment. You'll accept each other overnight as your attachment style puts everything in a new perspective for you. Chances are you'll be thinking, oh, of course, that's why they do that annoying thing. It's not because they're a control freak or a pushover or a people pleaser or a jerk or a fill in the blank. It's because of their attachment style. Okay. So that's week 5. And for many of you, you'll learn more about yourself in week 5 than you've learned about yourself in your entire life. That's just one of the 3 personality systems I'm going to introduce you to in the Insight module. The other 2 are just as profound. And more importantly, you'll feel like your partner finally sees your uniqueness as something to be celebrated. You can thank me in week 5, okay? Then in our 6th week together, we enter the trust module, where we're going to start off healing betrayals, restoring broken trust, and arriving at a place of forgiveness. Because we all betray each other unintentionally at some point. But when that hurt isn't healed, it festers, it turns into resentment, and nothing kills connection faster than resentment. So I'm going to teach you a super simple forgiveness process that's been scientifically proven to dissolve resentment, restore broken trust, and inspire forgiveness between the 2 of you. Because according to the research, it doesn't matter whether you forgot your anniversary or you had a 5-year affair with another man or woman. A betrayal is a betrayal, okay? If you follow the 6-step process I'm going to give you, trust will return, real forgiveness will happen. And by the end of our 6th week, you'll be able to count on each other again. Can you just imagine the relief you'll be feeling knowing that you can trust each other? Then we'll learn how to keep that precious trust that you've worked so hard to earn over the course of the 7 weeks. This is an email I got from Gloria. And when she joined the program, she was struggling. Her husband had told her that they were incompatible and they had too many issues to solve. He tried counseling, but all it did was reopen old wounds. They'd end up arguing and pointing things at each other, and their marriage was on the brink of divorce by the time they found this program. Like you, she watched this webinar. She decided to take a chance and join the program. And unfortunately, she was only able to make one of the live mentoring calls, but she made it count, and she asked me for help. And 7 weeks later, she wrote this: "This saved my marriage. My husband and I are in a much better place. The forgiveness exercise in week 4 was a real turning point for us. It's like all of the walls finally came down and we could finally see each other for the first time in so long." How awesome is that? They went from complete resignation about their marriage to forgiving each other and feeling seen. What would it do to your relationship or your marriage if you and your partner could forgive each other and be completely seen? It would change everything, right? So, another thing we're going to do in the trust module is massively increase your emotional intelligence, because one of the most common things that my students complain about is that their partners won't open up and share their feelings. Their partner usually just says, "Well, I don't really feel much." And it's understandable, because turtles struggle to know what emotions they're feeling, and this makes it hard for them to empathize with their partner. And on the other hand, hailstorms like me can often get stuck in expressing only their angry emotions, and this makes it hard for us to see our part and to apologize. But in week 6, I'll show you a simple way of determining what you're feeling and sharing how you're feeling with your partner in a way that actually satisfies them and makes them feel fulfilled. Then, what else do you need to know? Well, now that you're feeling safely connected and laughing playfully and with each other again, you need to learn how to operate as a powerful team. And that's where the partnership module comes in. You're going to learn what creates a powerful, passionate partnership and how to build and sustain the passion over the long term. Then we'll learn about sexual desire and how you can build it up and sustain it over the course of a lifetime, especially in quarantine. Remember, everything we're learning is grounded in solid research and is perfect to learn during quarantine. No mumbo jumbo here, okay? And our final mentoring call in week 7 is always a gas. It's full of laughs, because by the time you've gotten this far through the program, your relationship is so much more playful and your spouse feels so much more like a teammate. So that's our core curriculum for our 7 weeks together: connection, communication, safety, conflict, insight into each other, trust, and partnership. Pretty thorough, right? So you might be thinking, but Bruce, how can I know this program really actually works? I don't blame you if you're thinking that, because the internet is littered with so-called coaches who claim to be able to help you with pretty much anything under the sun. So I put my program to the test. I asked Dr. Ann Hess, a psychotherapist and a doctor of psychiatry who teaches at Harvard and Yale universities, 2 of the most prestigious universities in the world, to review the program and give me her honest opinion. And this is what she wrote back to me after 7 weeks. She said, "Hi, Bruce. I've now had the opportunity to review all the video sessions, the print worksheets, and the coaching sessions. You're amongst the most talented clinicians I have come across. I've been really struck by your direct and compassionate responses to clients on the mentoring calls. And most importantly, you provide pragmatic tools for couples to make their way out of unhappy and stuck patterns of relating. I want to offer you this testimonial simply because I think your program is so very worthwhile. I will definitely be using you as a referral resource for couples I think could benefit. Thanks so much, Bruce." Dr. Ann Hess. So you can relax knowing that the best in the business refer their couples to this program. Isn't that awesome? I was grinning like a kid when I got that email. So I'll quickly share a couple of inspiring stories from people just like you who took the coaching program. They used to get past their relationship struggles and build a loving team together. So when Lorne and Verity came to me, both of them had been focusing on their careers to the point of neglecting their marriage. When they tried to talk about what was going on between the two of them, it ended in a fight, so they started living separate lives together. They joined the program. 7 weeks later, they wrote to me sharing that they'd fallen back in love. Isn't that cool, you guys? Imagine what a difference falling back in love with each other would make to your everyday life at home in quarantine. No more stress, no more worrying. In fact, you'd be happy to see your partner when you woke up in the morning. No more feeling insecure. You'd feel loved, wanted, appreciated, and you'd come home to smiles and hugs every day. Well, you wouldn't be coming home, would you, if you're in quarantine? But normally you'd come home to smiles and hugs every day. Laura and Tom wrote, "This is an amazing program. It's so superior to marriage counseling. We're still married today just because of it." Jay and Mandy, they're one of my favorite couples. He's an all-around great guy, and she's a badass business coach. Now, as Mandy's business started taking off, she was spending more and more time in her home office and less time with Jay and the kids. And so Jay, feeling abandoned and threatened by Mandy's success, was starting to have angry outbursts. To make matters worse, Mandy actually decided to leave their faith, the Mormon church. So if you know anything about the Mormon faith, you'll know that you can't just leave. You kind of get cast out if you do that. So it's an understatement to say that these two had some pretty serious issues. But they were smart enough to seek help before it was too late. And they wrote to me afterwards saying, "This is the best investment we have made as a couple in 10 years together. Our marriage has gone from rocky to a deep love that I didn't think was possible." Powerful, right? Even seemingly irreconcilable differences have solutions, I promise you. So let's quickly review what's inside the program, and then we'll get to the Q&A session at the end. So you get everything you need to make it past the power struggle and into the mature love stage. And each of the 7 modules and implementation workbooks are thorough. You're going to get the connection module, the communication module, the safety module, the conflict buster module, the insight module, the trust module, the partnership module. Each one's grounded in scientific research. It contains proven answers and solutions, tested strategies, simple solutions and tools to end conflict between the two of you and fix your relationship problems. By the way, each video also comes with Spanish subtitles if that's your first language. I sell these on their own for $297 US. Next, you're going to need a mentor who's already done what you're trying to do. So that's why you're getting more than 10 hours of access to yours truly on our mentoring calls. You'll be able to speak directly to me. I'm going to give you answers and solutions tailored to your specific relationship situation and goals, okay? The value of these calls is priceless, but to put it in perspective, if you were to hire me for 7 relationship counseling sessions, you'd pay $2,450, but you're not going to pay anything near that. Now, what else do we need in order to get you past your power struggle stage? Well, ideally, your partner would join you in the program, right? So to make that more likely, I've got a little surprise for you. If you put yourself in the program today, I'm going to give you a free seat to give to your partner so they can join you in the program at no extra charge, whether now or, you know, when 3 months down the line when they decide they want to do the program with you. So you can get access to the 7 video modules and the 7 mentoring calls, and so do they. They get access to the video modules, the exercise workbooks, and the mentoring calls. That's 2 seats for the price of 1, which basically doubles the value of the program. How great is that? Pretty cool, right? Now, they've got one less excuse not to participate in fixing your relationship struggles because it's not going to cost them any money, probably. So as you can see, there's well over $5,000 worth of value here. And while obviously the value is huge and the program has been proven to work by thousands of people, you're certainly not going to be paying that, especially during quarantine, nor anything near what a couples therapist would charge, and I'll tell you why. This is my business, but making money is not why it's not why I help people build loving partnerships. If it was, I'd be doing something a lot easier, believe me. I help couples because I once needed help saving my own relationship, and I didn't know what to do or who to turn to, and it cost me that relationship. I felt that pain and the hurt and the loneliness and the despair and the rejection you might be feeling right now if your relationship feels like it's stuck in a power struggle. When I finally cracked the power struggle code, I figured out how to get past it. I promised myself I would help as many people as possible do the same. And that's why I do what I do. And I realize I'm probably not going to be able to help many people charging what others charge. But let's just say I did charge $6,624 for the program like couples therapists do. And let's just imagine that all this did was finally get the two of you feeling safely connected. Would that be worth it? Yes, of course it was. Just imagine how much better you'd feel. If all this did was resolve your biggest relationship issue without things escalating into a fight, would that make it worth it? Of course. Imagine not having to worry about that issue anymore. If all this did was stop your partner hailstorming down on you or turtling away into their shell, would that be worth it? Of course, yes. You can imagine how much happier you'd feel, how much more relaxed you'd feel being around each other, how much more your life you'd be able to enjoy and just appreciate not having that weighing on your shoulders anymore. The average Love at First Fight coaching program student gets all of these benefits and a lot more, all for just $497. Now, I imagine you're thinking, Bruce, what's the catch? Here's the catch. The program is really, really popular, even more so during quarantine. So to make sure that everyone has a chance to get my help on the live calls, I'm going to limit the program to 24 places only. And those 24 places usually sell out before we even start. So you're going to have to move quickly because you're likely to miss out if you wait. So if you still have some unanswered questions like, Bruce, how does this work if my partner won't participate with me? Or, what if we're in a long distance relationship? Or will the course help me if, fill in the blank? I'll get to those in a minute at the end, I promise. But because I'm grateful that you've been generous enough to give me some of your valuable time today, I'm going to make you an offer that's only available today to you guys on this webinar. You won't find this anywhere on my website, okay? As my way of saying thank you and supporting you during this crazy situation that we're all in with coronavirus, I'm going to give you an extra $100 off the regular price that everybody else pays. So you can get started today for just $397. So I hope right now you are grinning, okay? How do we do that? You can spread it out over 3 months, and you're going to get going today for only $137, and you still save the $100. So here's how you do it. You click on the right-hand side of the screen. You're going to see an Enroll Now button. Click on that button. It'll open in a new browser tab, so you can stay with me on the webinar at the same time, and then we're going to get to the Q&A in a second. Then on the registration form, you'll fill in your details. You'll choose which payment plan works for you, and then you get to choose whether or not to pay by card or whether by PayPal. And then you're done. You'll be watching the first video just minutes from now, the quick start videos that will prepare you for the course starting on Saturday. Remember, you're getting the connection module, the communication module, the safety module, the conflict buster module, the insight module, the trust module, the partnership module, and 10 hours of personal one-on-one help on the phone from me. And your partner gets a free ticket to join you too, and to all of this stuff, whether that's now or later on the program, all for just $137 today on the payment plan, or $397 if you pay in full, saving you $100 off the regular price. We kick off this Saturday at midday Pacific time with our welcome call. Of course, you're completely protected by my 100% money back guarantee. So if you complete the coaching program and you're not 100% satisfied, just let me know within 7 days at our final call. I'll happily refund you all your money. No hard feelings. You truly are protected. You've got nothing to lose. I want you guys to understand something else. Whatever you decide to do today, you and I are going to remain friends. And whatever choice you make, nothing much is going to change in my life. I'm not going to go out and buy a new car or a new phone or something. Hell, I can't even leave the house. But I promise you that everything will change in your life. Today is not about me. So my question is this. Is it worth taking a bet on yourself to have the loving partnership that you've been yearning for? Of course it is. Because even if only half of what I've promised you comes true, your relationship problems are going to be a thing of the past. Thousands of my students have gone before you and proven what this program will do for you, and what it'll do for your future together, and what it'll do for your kids' future. So as a shameless incentive for you to make a choice now, today, if you're one of the first 7 people to join the program today, I'm also going to give you 3 of my most useful audio programs. If you enroll now, you're going to get Sexual Fireworks valued at $47 included, where I'm going to teach you how to keep sex hot in your long-term committed relationship without experimenting with the Kama Sutra positions or swinging from the chandeliers in sex clubs, although you can do that if you want to. This method works even if you've been married half a lifetime. Next, I'm going to give you 6 steps to heal the affair, because if you've ever been cheated on, you know how much infidelity hurts and how hard it is to heal. If you try to heal it by yourself, you risk it never repairing, and the resentment will stay there for a long time, and restoring trust between you might never actually happen if you try by yourself. So don't try healing it on your own, okay? Next, bonus number 3 I'm going to give you is attract your ex back, because if your partner's left or your relationship's ended, this is going to teach you how to get them back without groveling, without begging, without manipulating, or without losing your dignity. Chris, congratulations. I see you just purchased the program. That's awesome, my friend. I'm looking forward to meeting you on Saturday. Soon, you're going to be their #1 choice, and getting back with you is going to be their idea. And finally, I've saved the best for last, everybody. If you're one of the first 7 people to join today, I'll upgrade both you and your partner's accounts to lifetime access accounts. Normally, you'd pay $197 for lifetime access to the program after the 7 weeks are done. Here's why this is good for you. You can do the program at your own pace. Even if you want to review it a year from now, you can go back and do that. Let's say in 6 months, your stubborn partner is so impressed by how much you've changed that they decide they also want to do the program with you. Well, now you can. You could review it together. This is a very good thing for your relationship. Are you getting excited? This is normally $197. I'm going to throw this in for free today and give you $100 off. So a final recap. If you're one of the first 7 people to take advantage of the offer today, you're going to get the connection module, the communication module, the safety module, the conflict buster module, the insight module, the trust module, the partnership module, more than 10 hours of one-on-one help from me. Your partner gets a free seat and also gets everything you get, including all the 3 bonuses, and to top it off, lifetime access to everything. And to add that up, you're now getting $5,973 worth of value when you're one of the first 7 people to register. Imagine what it would be like to wake up 2 weeks from now and your partner's stroking your hair and whispering, "I love you, honey," in your ear. You're going to smile deeply, and you're going to know that they mean it. The 2 of you are going to build each other up and bring out the best in each other. And because you feel accepted, warts and all, you can drop your guard and be completely yourself again. You'll laugh and you'll play together, and it'll be obvious to anybody who ever meets you post-quarantine that you guys are a team. You're deeply committed to each other. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Well, it's not only possible, it's probable 7 weeks from now. So we're at a fork in the road. And the way I see it, you have two choices. First choice is you do nothing. You don't take that leap with me. There's no risk, but nothing's going to change. In fact, things will only get worse. Remember what the biggest mistake was that couples make? It's waiting until it's too late to get help. The second choice is you take a bet on yourself and you invest in something proven by thousands of people before you to strengthen your relationship. Whatever you choose, don't do nothing. Whether it's me or someone else, get that help that your relationship needs. If money's the only thing standing in the way of you joining the program, I found a way for you to get around that. You can take the entire program with me, all 7 weeks, transform your relationship, and not pay a penny for 6 months interest-free. Here's how that works. If you're in the States or in Europe, you can apply for PayPal credit. You just sign up for a free PayPal account, or you log into your existing one, and then you apply for PayPal credit. Most people are approved instantly, usually within minutes. And then you select PayPal as your payment method on our checkout, and you get 6 months interest-free to pay back or the program, or you could start paying your first installment only 6 months from now. How cool is that? So now you don't have to let your financial situation stop you from leaving your power struggle in the dust. Remember, this offer is only available now. It's only available for the first 7 people. Congratulations. Chris, I see you got a lifetime access there as well. Awesome. You can join later, but you're going to be paying $497, and you're going to be paying $197 for the lifetime access to the program. Just be aware, we've only got about 12 spaces left. They're probably going to be gone soon. So there we have it. That's everything you need to get to the mature love stage fast. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I'm going to stick around and answer your questions. And if you chose to join the rest of us in the program, thank you for trusting me with your relationship and your marriage. It's been a privilege being here with you today. I so appreciate you being here for 2 hours. We've gone for a long time, and I'm still going to be here for another half an hour with you or so. Here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to answer some of your questions. First thing I'm going to do is get this timer running so that I actually know. Let's see if I can get this timer running. How do I do that? Hang on, guys. Hold on. We're almost there. There's that mouse. There. Okay, time is running. All right, that's good. All right, there's the timer. Okay. So let's go and find my mouse. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to go find your questions, and let's see what you guys have asked. Okay, I'm going to go answer the questions that were marked as Q&A. Okay, so Nicole says, I love your advice, but how can I do all this on my own? My husband never wants to discuss our relationship. Okay, Nicole, I've got some news for you. The reason that your husband probably never wants to discuss the relationship is because he's scared of you. Not because you're scary, but because you might be scary to him, or accessing his feelings is scary to him. He's scared. And if you're a hailstorm, which I guess that you are, because this is the kind of question a hailstorm would ask, and he sounds like a turtle, then the way you communicate unconsciously will be aggressive and will escalate and will sound like, I feel like you're never there for me. I feel like you just never want to work in the relationship. And if he's a turtle, his biggest fear is rejection. His secret fear is that he's inadequate. And when you criticize him, not meaning to, just thinking you're sharing your feelings, he withdraws. And this is why he no longer wants to talk with you about your relationship. So this is how you can single-handedly turn your relationship around. I'm going to teach you how to approach your husband in a safe way, such that when you talk about how you feel and the things that aren't working in the relationship, he doesn't feel threatened. In fact, he feels like he's safe. That's how you bring him to the table. Because a relationship is a lot like a seesaw, okay? Now a seesaw works as one person shifts their weight, the other person's forced to move in response. Well, as you start bringing a different you to the relationship, Nicole, your partner's going to start responding as a different them. They're going to be forced to change the way that they respond, and they'll start stepping forward. That's how you turn your relationship around single-handedly without your partner. Thank you for the question. Great one, Nicole. Okay, what's the 101 book again, says M. It's called 101 Nights of Great Sex. That's the book. Lindsay says, what if my partner doesn't want to do a family meeting? Well, I suggest that you don't then consult your partner if he doesn't, or if you know he'll say no, you just bring it up. You know, there's nothing wrong with bringing up a family meetings. Hey guys, at the dinner table eating, I'd like to ask you guys a question. Seeing as we're all like stuck together in this quarantine, I want to find out what you guys all need. What can I do to help you? And I'd love for you to share some of your needs and some of the needs that aren't getting met for you in quarantine, so that we can all figure out how to support each other. What do you think? And you just ask, who'd like to go first? And if nobody volunteers, you go first. Okay, guys, I'll give you something. Here's what I need. And here's how you guys could help me, okay? And you demonstrate and you lead. It's highly likely your partner will want to do this with you. By the way, 2 more of you have just purchased. Thank you, guys. I can't see your names right now. Oh, I can see. Oh, there we go. Nicole. Congratulations, Nicole. Congratulations, Chris. Awesome. What ends up happening is, as you lead, everybody follows. So he may not want to. That's fine. Then you can go individually and interview him and interview your family individually and discover their needs, so that you can start meeting their needs. Even if just you're the only person meeting everybody else's needs, it'll soften the entire feeling of quarantine for you. Okay, so that's the only question. Oh wait, what if my partner's a sheep and not a turtle? Well, if your partner's a sheep and not a turtle, then they're a sheep and not a turtle. I'm not sure what your question is, Annie. If they're a sheep, they have different needs than turtles have, and you've just got to understand what their needs are. And in week 5 of the program, you're going to get a 20-page report on your sheep, if he is a sheep. And if you're a hailstorm, you'll get a 20-page report on what it is to be a hailstorm as well. Pauline says, thank you, Bruce. That was awesome. It's a pleasure, Pauline. Linda says, thank you, Bruce. So helpful. Such a pleasure. Linda, I appreciate you guys staying to the end. Sue says, thank you. Chris says, thank you. Lynn says, I'm Australia. Hi, Lynn, Australia. Hi, this is about $800 US. Wow, I didn't realize the Australian dollar was 2 for 1. Yeah, it's about, if it's 2 for 1, if it's 2 Australian dollars to 1 American dollar, then it would be $800. It's super, super cheap compared to what you'll pay for therapy, which in Australia would be then $12,000 if you're living in a city. So please share, how do you sign up again? You just click on the Enroll Now button, Linda, that's what you do. You just click on the Enroll Now button. Let's see. Bruce is the man, says James. Fixing your relationship will take work. My wife was the skeptic turtle with our patience, and it worked. Bruce helped me and resolved our relationship. Thanks a ton, Bruce. James, my man, thank you so much. I love hearing that. It's wonderful to have you here. Okay, I think that's all the questions I've got, unless you guys have some questions you want to type into the chat box. Oh, here we go. Kathy says, I need to discuss this with him. Can I get 24 hours to decide this and get this great offer? Absolutely, Kathy. Just save that link. Okay, so keep that browser tab open, click on the Enroll Now button. It won't by itself, I promise. And just keep that open in your browser, and you can come back in 24 hours, but I can't guarantee there'll be any places left. So see if you can come back sooner, just to make sure that you get a space. Let's see, what else have we got going on here? I think those are all the questions. Let's see what other questions. We sometimes have some common questions that people ask. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, what if I can't take advantage of this deal, but I want to take advantage of the deal, but I can't attend the program? Well, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but if you want to get on the special deal now, and you can't attend this program, you could always enroll now and then transfer to any program that begins within the next 6 months. We have a 6-month transfer policy. Just shoot us an email and say, hey, I'm not going to attend this one. Can I attend the next one? We usually run them every, I don't know, couple of months. Next question is, often I get asked, like, okay, Bruce, what's the catch? Why is this course so cheap? Well, the reason I can afford to help you for only $97 US is that we're working in a group. And over the many years that I've run this program, I found that the group program often gets better results than working one-on-one. Now, I know it might seem hard to believe that I'm promising to help you repair your relationship problems for the price of less than 1 session with a relationship couples therapist, especially considering that in cities, they'll easily charge you $500 a session and advise 12 sessions, which works out to, as we're looking at, over $6,000. So not to mention that many couples and therapists are not actually trained to work with couples, and they do more damage than good. How is this possible? Well, in the United States, you can call yourself a couples therapist and work with couples if you're licensed to work with individuals. You don't need to be licensed to work with couples in many states in America to call yourself a couples therapist. So we have many individual therapists practicing individual therapy on couples. And a couple is a whole different animal than an individual. There are two individuals and there's the relationship. And so this is why they teach things like, these kind of communication skills first. They don't know about connection. They don't understand the dynamics of connection. And they often tell me that each therapist made things worse. And my course was the only thing that worked to save their marriage. If you suspect I've got a thing against couples therapists and counselors, it's because I do. I've lost count of the number of my students who told me about the damage that couples therapy has done to their marriage. There is good couples therapy out there. Let me just say that. If you have somebody practicing emotionally focused couples therapy, they're a good therapist. But there's effective relationship help available for everyone. So because we work in a group, is how I can afford to make this program so cheap. Let's see what other questions. How do I convince my partner to participate with me? That's a good one. So I've designed a free training program that'll teach you how to get your partner on board, what to say to them, what not to say to them. You'll get access to it as soon as you register. Even if they join, 3 weeks into the program, you guys can catch up, and you've got lifetime access to the program if you take advantage of this deal. So you'll be fine. Will the program work if we're separated or we're broken up? Yes, I regularly hear that separated or broken up couples have decided to get back in the middle of that. In fact, anybody who guarantees that you'll reunite with your ex shouldn't be trusted, because nobody can guarantee that. You can't force somebody to do something they don't want to do. You have to inspire them to do what they want to do. And that's what the Attract Your Ex Back program is all about. So if you're broken up or separated, you're going to listen to the Attract Your Ex Back program first. When you purchase it, you'll have immediate access to it. What if something happens and you need a transfer? You can transfer to one other program within 6 months, free of charge, no worries. Some people ask, will you get to talk to me personally? Yes, you will get to talk to me personally. There'll be 10.5 hours of group mentoring calls. How quickly can you expect to see results? Well, the program's designed to work within 7 weeks. Many of you will get results within week 2 of the program, thanks to communication tools that you've learned. Many of you will get results in the 6th week of the program. It all depends on what you're dealing with and how committed you are to doing the work. One thing I can promise you is if you don't do anything, you won't get any results. If you keep doing what you've been doing, things will stay the same, and that's a guarantee. It's the only guarantee I can give you, okay? How much time will I need to allocate to the program each week? Well, in my experience, the couples that do best put aside anywhere between 2 and 4 hours a week on the weekends to watch the videos and complete the assignments on the weekends. Then they practice all the tools they're learning throughout the weekdays. They get on the mentoring calls with me, and they've got questions to ask, and I can give them feedback. And those couples almost always write in at the end and say all their problems are solved. And I know it's a big claim. I'm not claiming you're going to solve every single one of your problems, but it's something I commonly hear, because relationship problems are a lot like dominoes. Once you knock the biggest one over, all the other ones kind of fall in succession. And that's why this works. All right, so, well, let me get back to you guys and see if you guys have any more questions for me. Let's see. How do you, Lindsay says, how do you listen lovingly without defense? If your partner's flooded and not staying, I feel it's kindly, they're critical and attacking. Lindsay, good question. You use a structured conversation every time you have a conversation about your feelings. So if you're one of those couples where you get flooded and you start escalating, you have to use a structure. And a structure is a format that ensures the relationship stays safe and the conversation doesn't escalate, and it has rules. And in week 2, I'm going to give you the exact structure. It is that simple tool that I was talking about in week 2. You have to have a structure, otherwise things will escalate. The other thing you can do, if your partner is getting critical, well, and they're using like, I feel like you never, you can soothe yourself. You can calm yourself down and not take it personally, and just breathe and stay present and know this is not about you. It's obviously about what they're struggling with. It's not personal. If you're not able to do that without getting flooded, you might want to learn how to co-regulate them and calm them down. Again, that's also something we're going to be doing in week 2 and week 3. Is we're going to learn about co-regulation, how to calm your partner down. And then if they join you in the course, they're going to understand the same structure that you do. It'll be a lot easier. But even if they don't join you in the course, I'm going to teach you how to use the structure single-handedly with your partner, even if they don't know it. And we'll talk about that in week 2 too. Okay, Nicole says, my husband works 1 to 2 hours a day working from home with the quarantine. I'm off completely. We have an 18-month-old daughter that needs constant feeding. How can I convince him that I need time to myself? You don't need to convince him, Nicole. In fact, that's the last thing you want to do is convince him. What you need to say to him is, honey, I feel overwhelmed and I'm feeling exhausted. I would really appreciate it if you'd take our daughter for 2 hours. I'm going to have a rest. Here you go. And you go take a rest. I love you, honey. Thank you. That's how you do it. You connect with him first. You make sure he feels safe. You make sure that you're supporting him too, and that he feels supported, so that you're co-parenting together. You have to have that time, especially in quarantine. Otherwise, you'll lose your mind. If your husband is not open to it, even more reason to get on this course so that you can learn how to reach him and learn how to speak to him in a way that he can actually hear your struggle. You see, most people who are unresponsive and who appear to be jerks on the outside aren't jerks. Most people who appear to be jerks on the outside are actually afraid, okay? They're scared or they're feeling resentful because their needs aren't being met first, or they're feeling scared of the way you're communicating with them. Why would they feel scared about the way you're communicating with them? Well, if you're a hailstorm, which the majority of the people in the school are, I think, one of your defining characteristics is that you will escalate and you will tend to indirectly, passive-aggressively or active-aggressively try and get your needs met. Instead of being direct and honest, hailstorms will go, I just feel like you never support me. I'm just so alone in this relationship. Instead of going, honey, I need 2 hours so I can have a nap. I'm exhausted. Here, take the baby. I love you. Thanks for helping. Hailstorms will manipulate. And so their partner doesn't want to talk to them about their feelings because their partner learns to be scared of these manipulations. And if you've been together a long time, you'll probably have trained your partner to expect you to manipulate them. And that's what you're going to learn to stop doing in the program. It's a section of the program in week 3 that we call protest behavior. And we're going to teach you what all of these manipulations are that turtles use, hailstorms use, sheep use, chameleons use, wolves use. And you're going to identify them and stop doing them. And it's really as easy as catching yourself doing them, because there's a distinction that I love that comes from the personal development world, that you cannot change anything you don't understand, okay? If you don't know and you're not aware of your own protest behavior, you won't know that you're using it and what your manipulations are. The minute you're aware of your manipulations, you'll be able to catch yourself every time. Go, oh, so embarrassed, I'm doing my thing again. I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to do what Bruce said to do and speak more securely and use this structure or that structure. And that's how you reach him, and he'll be far more likely to help you. That's why I think he may not want to help you, Nicole. Kathy says, any co-regulation tips? I'm the hailstorm and he's the turtle. Calm the hell down, Kathy, is probably the tip that I have for now. Yes, I've got a ton of co-regulation tips. They're all in the program, and you're going to get them on week 2. So basically, if you can stick around for just over 2 weeks, you'll have all the co-regulation tips in the world. But essentially, what you can do for yourself if you're a hailstorm to stop being so scary to your partner is use the tools that I gave you today. Print out that or download those webinar handouts I gave you earlier, and use the sentence structure of those 4 sentence stems I gave you to talk about your feelings. When you ask for what you need, ask for an internal need, just like I showed you how to do today. When you're sharing your feelings, take out the word like and use a 1-word soft emotion, just like I showed you today, just like is in that worksheet. Use the structure. When I saw you fill in the blank, the story I made up about it was fill in the blank. That helps your partner feel safe, because what you're doing there is you're separating reality from your story about reality, from your interpretation about reality, and 99% of people cannot do that. And so they come across as scary and threatening to their partners. When you can say, hey, I saw you do this, and I made up a story, and I'm acknowledging that it's just a story. I made up a story that you don't love me, and it's probably not true. but what I really need is some reassurance right now that you love me. Can you give me a hug, please? Your partner's going to be there every time for you because you're telling them what to do. So you're prescribing an action. So the men who like to fix things are not going to have to wonder, oh, I don't know what to do, particularly turtles. Turtle men, hailstorms expect their partners to be able to read their minds. Okay, so you've got to tell them exactly what to do. And turtle men have no ability to read your minds. In fact, neither does your turtle woman. So what you want to do is use the exact tools I gave you today, and they'll take you a lot of the way there, Kathy. You've got what you need to reach him if you practice it. Obviously, in the program you're going to get a ton more and it'll be a lot easier, but you've already got enough to make an impact. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Let's have a look at Nicole. All right, Carol. Carol, will this be live for the next 24 hours so my partner can hear this, which helps us make a joint decision about the program? Yes, Carol, it will. You should get an email shortly in the next couple of hours with the replay link, and it'll be going up on my website as well. You can watch the replay with your partner, absolutely. All righty. I don't think there's any other questions that I can see here. You scroll down. All right. If we've got no more questions, we will call it a day. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a joy and a pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you for trusting me with your time and with your marriage or your relationship. It's something I take seriously. And I look forward to meeting you on Saturday when we kick off with our welcome call. Till then, thrive in quarantine. Enjoy. I hope you found this webinar super useful. I hope you had as much fun as I've had sharing it with you. And mwah, sending you big hugs and kisses. And we will talk on Friday. Adios, amigos. Ciao.